We are back with episode 21 of the All About Counter-Strike podcast, and it's going to be a lot about Cologne, going into Blast Bounty. There's so much to talk about with some of the rosters and everything that's been going on. If you can see, I've got a terrible camera again because I went on holiday, and like the genius I was like, I'm going to pack really light. So light that I didn't take my laptop charger because I'm an idiot. So I borrowed a laptop from my friend who's one of the Chinese press for 5e Play, but he only has one USB-C port on here. So the microphone's in that, so the audio is good for all our audio only listeners out there. But the webcam is from my iPad while the laptop's in. Dude, this is such a
And the
botch
laptop
setup.
was in
And we
full
have
full Chinese as
full
well.
time. Yeah, my laptop's completely in Chinese now. So if anything pops up, we have Seraph. Come for a moment. So Seraph is a Chinese commentator, host. I've worked on stages with him. Here he is. He is here in case anything messes up. And the poor guy gets to watch he's just laughing. He has to watch the podcast live while we natter on about everything. He's been at Cologne as well. It's great to see him. He actually bought me, Seraph, pass me the little boo boo. He bought me two Labubus over.
Oh
Do you know what
wow!
they are, Devilwalk?
I have. Is it the
No.
small? Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
Exactly. Yeah, I've heard of
Me and
this.
my
I've
wife are
heard.
very happy. Wait, look at this one. This is the most gangster one possible. I didn't even know this existed. Look at this. And wait.
The
Da-da-da.
hell? Is that
Yeah,
like
I
a
got
diva or
robot
something?
Labubu. Yeah, it kind of looks like it, doesn't it, from Overwatch?
Yeah.
But yeah, he came with the Chinese hookup directly, so I don't have to pay outrageous European prices for Labubu. Because we're getting scammed out here because all the kids want them and everyone wants them. Um, but yeah, dude, you know what? I'll start with this. Actually, no, let me ask you how your time was because I went on holiday, so I was chilling until I got to Cologne.
I also went on holiday. I mean, I think last
Oh my god,
episode. I mean, a little bit of a holiday. We went to Stockholm. Obviously, we saw Manchester
that's not a
United.
holiday. It's the same country.
Yeah, but still a little bit of a holiday. We were there, and my brother lives in Stockholm, so we met up with him.
Nice.
Watched obviously Manchester United versus Leeds in
Did we
Stockholm.
win?
It was an incredibly dry and boring game that ended 0-0.
Oh no.
But it
Oh,
was
you paid for that.
yeah, but it was still cool. It's still Premier League teams
Yep.
in Sweden. I think it was like 20
Was it better
years.
or worse than the Cologne finals?
Uh, well, that's a tough one. Tough one. But yeah, but it was a good time. And then we went and visited
Yeah.
my girlfriend's parents, 2 hours away, for like 4 or 5 days. So
Yep.
still like an energy gaining kind of vacationy couple weeks.
Yeah.
So it's been good.
I did 11 days in Turkey with my wife and my son. And I want to say, right, when you have a kid who's 8 and they got energy, like I can't call it relaxing fully. It was
Yeah.
like we had all inclusive, so you don't have to leave the venue, you just go leave the resort. I say venue like we're in an event. I didn't have to leave the resort or anything, but like you're eating buffet food every day. I actually lost weight on holiday because I was boxing, like doing the adults boxing. I was at the resort, and then I was in the swimming pool with him the whole time. And dude, he can sit in the swimming pool from like 12 until the pool closes at 8. And sometimes I try to sit down and he's like, Dad, and you're back in the pool again. So
So,
there's
so
like,
you're not like me at like the open bar by the pool. You're just queuing for when it
no,
opens,
no.
and
I had my drinks in the evening. I definitely had a few drinks in the evening, but I was not at an open bar. I was not sat in a pool bar or anything like that. There was no options for that. I was throwing a ball around. I was diving for stuff underwater that he was constantly throwing in. It was good fun. Where Turkey was crazy good weather. I was actually near Zantaras. Zantaras was like 2 resorts down from me.
oh,
He was at a really nice resort, just to say that, to be clear. Zantaras living life. And I can say that publicly because he posted on his Instagram stories.
yeah.
But yeah, he told me to go to his one next time. And I said, I don't have the same money as you as a player, bro. We're not living the same kind of life. Like I might have to wait a few years before I do that. But yeah, the weather was sick in Turkey. And then I came straight to Cologne. And I'll tell you this, like, being a talent is obviously such a joy. The first day was so hard for me because I felt so sad when you see other people doing the interviews and other people doing the stage stuff,
Yeah.
and then fans are coming up to you and saying like, "Why are you not working?" I'm like, I just wasn't hired, and it just like I missed it so much. But by the second day, I felt much better because I just took it like I was doing some video logs, I was doing some content for One Expert. I did a signing session, bro. I'll tell you this: never did I expect. I started the signing session at the end of Navi Spirit first semi final.
Yeah.
I missed all of Mal's vitality because the signing session was 2 hours 30 something minutes long.
Wow.
It was like, yeah, and it just even there was a small gap where people didn't come, and then I was just signing some more for like giveaway stuff, and then another queue just rocked up because they saw, oh, there's no one here, and then it just got. So there was no, I didn't want to go when people are waiting. You
Yeah,
know, I don't
yeah.
want to tell people no, I won't do it. And then I came back for the final two rounds, and I was like, what the hell? Vitality lost. Like I was confused. You know, when you come in and you just think, what the hell happened? So I'll be honest, I saw nothing of Mal's vitality. So you're gonna have to fill me in on on that.
So
I
I
completely
rewatched
blanked.
it actually because I had
Okay,
actually some stuff to do with like my girlfriend. So I actually rewatched it like earlier today.
nice.
Um,
So you'll be fresh for later when we talk about
yeah,
that. That's good. But yeah, Cologne ended up being fun in the end, hard at the beginning. But my God, I want to I want to go back on stage. I want to go back and do this event. So hopefully not too long
I'll
for
let you
that.
know though. My
Um,
girlfriend, we were watching like most of the event like on the TV.
yeah,
Um, and she's just kind of she doesn't know anything, and she's definitely not like that into Counter Strike world. But she
yep.
did mention when they introduced people on stage that she was a little bit disappointed that there was not a more energetic voice doing the call up. So I did hype you up there for
It.
her that
Hey,
you're really good at it.
do you know what I think? Because like, yeah, people have to remember. I know some people even tweeted, which is unfair at shock, saying like, "Oh, your voice, blah blah blah." And I think, first of all, if you're offered the job, you're going to take it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
100%.
she's got so much experience and skill, so she did nothing wrong. But I feel like, imagine if you put her doing her great wordplay and her monologues into then giving me the piece to do on the hype or the bit afterwards or ringing it out and have like a duo piece.
Yeah, like
That
this
would have made it
the yeah.
better,
Yeah, I
you
agree with
know?
that because I mean Shox
I
is
think
so good. Like it's unbelievable if you've
mhm.
seen her work, how much prep she does, how much work she actually puts into it
You
to
got
make
to work with
sure.
her Antwerp, right? Firsthand.
Yeah, it was absolutely insane. She was like filming a documentary or some kind of thing at the same time as she was doing the
Yeah,
work. And she's so efficient, you're sitting on like a big iPad and like scrolling through text and writing normally on like pieces of paper in her prep and post-its everywhere. And there was so much
yeah.
work involved, and she would do it 24/7 nonstop. So I have a lot of respect for her, and being able to come into, especially like back then, she hadn't done that many CS events.
Yeah,
Um,
I think this is early start of CS events,
yeah,
definitely.
and like she put in the work, man. It felt like she knew more
Yeah.
about Counter Strike than me after a while, or like the history. No, but she really put work in. So yeah, I have a lot of respect for her and her work ethic.
Definitely. Well, let me do my usual thing, my man, because it is currently the 4th of August, 2025. It is 34 minutes past midnight for both of us because I'm in Germany, Cologne, and you're in Sweden. So, you know, we're on the same time zone finally. It does
Yeah,
work out sometimes like that, but we are really late because I actually just got back from dinner. I was in dinner with wonderful his girlfriend. He even brought his mum, which was really nice. She was watching the event as well. Obviously, we'll come on to Navi later and how well they played and stuff and they went through. But we need to start looking at, I guess, the first stage because remember we did our episode so long ago.
yeah,
So stage one, let's look at some of maybe quickly overview of maybe what was to be considered the negatives, the teams that didn't make it through. I feel like Tai Lu, I believe so much that they would go through to stage two,
yeah.
and
I'd probably
they were
put
obviously be disappointed.
yeah, Tai Lu, obviously. They only really had a win against what I consider maybe a weak complexity at this point. They're not looking as
Yeah,
sharp as they did few events ago. And then,
Yep.
obviously falling to a 3D Max was a close game, but they should be maybe taking these kind of games. And
I thought they
then,
should have beat VP personally, man. I think we both predicted them to beat
yeah,
VP, right, in that first game.
I think so. But VP is obviously they're a very hard team to kind of guesstimate where they are
They-
at.
Every event is a different story. Every event there's a different looking VP.
But they do have Perfecto
Um,
now, so he did
yes,
perform.
but they still didn't make it through to the next stage. So I
No,
still think anything like that when you have these players is a letdown.
yeah,
Like it's still not acceptable for a team of VP standard. Um, Looking at Payne's kind of funny. You mentioned next as well
yeah,
because the Astralis game gave me some hope. Was like, okay, Payne can still show up, but the big game, I felt like Big probably should have been the team to walk away with the win, and Payne just got some of those key rounds. It's like, okay, you got that one, but losing to Liquid to start off with, when you know how bad Liquid are at the moment, is not great. But that was like a game that was almost a must-win game, and to set them up nicely.
yeah, and I agree. And I mean, Liquid are in big trouble. I think even after the event, Liquid, when they went out of Cologne, there was tweets from Twist when they lost in some kind of I think it was an online tournament, EU online tournament,
Yep.
against, was it VP Prodigy or something along those lines. I can't remember exactly
Let me
what the
check.
name was, but it was something along these
Yeah,
caliber.
VP Prodigy,
Yeah,
Virtus Pro's like academy team. But they
S-
never take any players from, by the way.
yeah, and it's one of those things where it's not many excuses for that, especially if they want to
Yep.
be considered to be consistently invited into these tier one events. That's a
Yep.
really, really bad sign. And obviously, there's been some discontent coming out of like Twist writing that they're not a team, etc. They're not playing like a team, and there it goes on. Like, you need to be in a very bad place for a player to start lashing out and kind of directing it publicly to the community.
Yeah.
And it doesn't
It's not a great
really,
sign, especially
no, it doesn't
when
set a
they
good,
agreed to stick with this team, right?
yeah.
According to Naf, what he said in these interviews is that like the team believed in him still, and they didn't want to make the change. And then they're still obviously no further forward. They bring Flashy in, which obviously I was very positive about. Um, but I don't like what has he had enough time? No, but still, you have enough good players and pieces, and Shuhei needs to still prove himself as a good in-game leader again, because this is now getting a bit worrying. Now you're out of Mouse, and it's not looking pretty at all.
But it's also one of
So
these things where Shui, he's, at least from the way that I've seen him conduct himself and talk about the way he leads and stuff. He likes to give freedom to players,
yeah,
etc. And it should probably come to the point where um, a coach coming from that Navi camp being able to maybe put a little bit more structure into things. That's probably going to be a little bit of an adjustment period, but it's not like they have all the time in the world. Um, at the
not
same
when you're a
time,
liquid. No way.
no.
No, no, no.
So let's just hope this is just kind of where they mark, okay, maybe Flashy can see, where all the bumps are when they've actually been tested now in a real kind of scenario compared to practice. It can always look way better when you're practicing and things are just running smoothly and things are starting to work. But once you actually get into an intense kind of high pressure situation, you're gonna see the cracks, and that's when you're gonna learn a
Yeah.
lot and be able to kind of sort it out and fix it. So I hope that's one of those scenarios for them.
Another disappointing team for me, at least personally, was Bait, because obviously I think you remember during the Austin Major, I predicted them to do pretty well. They went 3-0 in stage one,
Yeah,
could have made it through to stage three even, but obviously they fumbled against Fury and Limvision across three maps. But like they had an invite to Fissure. They actually put it up to vote with their community if they should enter Fissure because obviously it's Russian owned.
yeah.
Yeah. And the community said no, decline the invite. So then they came in without playing any officials since the major, going straight into Cologne, their first Cologne. Losing to Astralis, no shame in that at all. But then losing to FlyQuest is a rough one because they just added JKS. I don't think Bait should be beating FlyQuest in their current form. I would say. Um, Obviously, both FlyQuest and Bait not making it, but to go out with no wins under your belt, only taking a map from FlyQuest was not what I expected.
But
I wanted
to
more
be
for these
fair,
guys.
I do think that when we look at this JKS FlyQuest, maybe we're underestimating them a little bit.
You think so?
Maybe a little. I'm not saying that they should qualify to every next stage and stuff like that, but they're still like a dangerous team if they have
Okay.
players that can perform. I mean, even like if Inns is their worst performing player at an event like this, almost it's like
Hmm.
he can pop off and he can actually be quite good, even as an in-game leader. So I think there's still something to it. They can upset a team or two.
Well, I would just say it in the way that Bait is always practicing against European teams, lives in Europe,
Yeah,
yeah, is getting good quality practice in comparison to FlyQuest.
that is true.
And I know FlyQuest come over to Europe. They spend a lot of time in Serbia, for example, boot camping and stuff. They're definitely working hard. But I mean, the Bait should have an advantage over a team like FlyQuest.
I agree with that.
And they didn't capitalize on having that advantage, which is a problem for me. Like I expect better from Bait. But that's just I know the guys. I personally would put them. I have that higher expectations of them.
But it also feels
Looking
like
at
Bait
our
a little bit high pressure situation. That's where they fumble a little bit because like when they played with no
yeah,
pressure, they got a couple of best of one series into them in the major where they have like extra lives. It didn't feel
hmm
like they fumbled or crumbled then, but when it actually came to the last game where they could actually drop out, that's when they just looked like a completely different team. They got stressed. They were not making the calculated moves and being as collectively aggressive as they were
yeah,
in the early games.
yeah. Well, then let's have just a quick overview because we're going to talk about some more of these teams.
Yeah,
But the teams that made it through to stage two: Furia, FaZe, NIP, Gamer Legion, Astralis, 3D Max, Heroic, and Liquid. So Liquid survived at least the first stage. Um, Out of these teams, I think the only one that might surprise some people would be NIP.
yeah.
Is that fair to say?
I mean, to some extent, even though I think like you could mention Liquid as a surprise as well.
Okay.
I think that's
I
fair.
guess I guess by name value, I always think like we should be saying they should go through.
Yeah,
But
but
with
I
recent
would I
form,
would
you're probably
put like
right.
Pain and VP like ahead of them,
I wouldn't put VP above them, but I'd put Bane above them.
and Tyloo even.
I'm so my stocks are so down on VP though. Like,
Okay,
I,
okay, but I
we,
would still
bro,
put.
we went for them so many times and they just get smashed. And then like
But
they have one
there's
event
still
where it
like
goes
you can
well.
see there's something in them. In Liquid, I haven't seen that much. I still put them
Yeah,
higher than
yeah.
Liquid, even though my maybe hopes for Liquid started way higher than VP. But VP has caught up.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Um, Looking through on the teams that I would say then disappointed going into stage two, Astralis, right? Obviously, second in Fissure, super solid. You make it through stage one, only losing to Furia, but then you go against Vitality and Furia. What you play Vitality first time, that's always going to be hard, right? It's Vitality.
Yeah,
Astralis isn't ready for that test. But losing to Furia again and not growing from it, it's like in the first time they play Furia, I can give them it's a different style. Obviously, I would say that Fallen's read of the game at times can be better since the rifle has been very impressive.
yeah.
But you didn't learn, you didn't grow, and obviously Molodor is great, but I'd say Ashara should be fighting closer against Furia. It was 13-3, 13-4.
Yeah, it
You
was a
got
complete stomp.
absolutely dumpstered. Like everyone was positive on Furia. No, like it was an absolute fall off from Astralis. And I don't want to hear anything about pressure it doesn't matter. Astralis should be at least making it more competitive than that. Like that to go from such a high to such a low is crazy.
No, I agree. I think Furia. I rate them actually really, really highly right now, and even before coming
Yep.
into this tournament, they looked super exciting. But Astralis had some of that aura as well, where they weren't that far off from Furia in terms of like a potential of the lineup, especially with Huxley coming in and them coming to that grand final, as you mentioned, and then
Yeah.
coming through to that second place again. It's They have it in them, and they looked like they could be on par with Furia, but Furia was just miles ahead, and they look to be miles ahead right now, especially with this result. But I
Massively.
still, it is tough coming in. I think still Furia is one of the best teams at this tournament, and facing off Astralis or Astralis facing off Furia and Vitality in the opening games in obviously a packed stack tournament anyways.
Yeah.
It's still a really tough draw. Um you know yeah, it's a tough one.
It
But
is very tough.
yeah, I don't know.
Do we want to? Do you want to touch on the liquid results next? Should we
Yeah,
go there?
we can go
Because
there.
obviously on the same bit of disappointment because you got beaten by FaZe anyway in the first stage. You play him again for an elimination match in the second stage, and FaZe again handle it 2-0. And it's when you're seeing the score lines 13-6, 13-2. An ancient, by the way, it may be FaZe's pick, but I remember so many rounds of Ultimate like having good success and doing well as an AWPer on that map. And it felt like across this series when I watched it that Nertz was the only one who could make it. Like he was trying everything.
Yeah.
He was trying whatever it took, whatever he could make a play, whatever he could make happen. And I'm thinking, someone else help him. Like, please, someone else come alive in this game. That's all they need to just try and make it competitive. Because again, I don't mind like the game against Mouse. It would be nice if they took a map, but like they didn't get completely dumpstered. I can say it was less embarrassing than the phase game. But for Liquid going out, you're on the second stage, 13th to 16th, so you're one of the first teams eliminated. Is It's rough, and that's where the doubt sits in about what this Liquid can do. This would even be like if they go to Blast Bounty now, and we'll come on to that at the end or towards the end of the episode. If they go on to Blast Bounty and they're still struggling, is that where Liquid say we need to make a change already mid-season, or do they just hang it out until the major? Because remember, they can afford to at least change one player.
I mean, I think it's starting to look really bad. It's not only that, like, you don't really see any growth in them. Like if you look at the face game, they had two CT rounds or the total of 8 rounds. But like playing Ancient, obviously face, they had a great T side, but it felt like whatever face did, there's nothing is gonna stop them. They probably get
Yep.
into this kind of panic mode. Obviously, Mirage having NAF on 217 is not helpful in a 13-6 game. Um,
Yeah.
like I don't really know. I still feel like it's not really one player's fault. I don't really see, like you said, maybe it's nerds that's popping off at times, but we're lacking from Ultimate, we're lacking from Shui, we're lacking from Twists, we're definitely lacking from NAF.
Twist and Ultimate are the ones like people are criticizing Naf all the time, and he's getting so much blame. He should get some blame because he's always been a staple of that team as like someone you can say is always reliable.
Yeah,
Yeah. And they made a decision not to cut him. So they've given him a confidence boost. But now his own confidence needs to come through. Otherwise, it's GG because I'm not going to put all blame on Naf. Nerds at the moment I have no problems with, but I need an Ultimate and Twists to at least be pushing in the same direction with him, with Nerds, that
I
is.
mean,
Yeah.
Twist is supposed to be like the star player. He's going. He's
Yeah.
supposed to
Now he's not
be
IGL.
be supposed to be leading the pack with Nerf. With Nerds and posting the 115, 120 ratings in the series, not sitting there with
Yep.
1128 and NAF on 931 in a best of three. That it's not good enough. So it's hard when you can't get your star players to kind of fill the shoes. Um, but I
Big
mean,
time.
Face. outplay them. It looked like a completely different, level of, I don't know, teams. They
Big
shouldn't
time.
even be in the same tournament almost.
Big time. Actually, one other team I was going to look at here on the last place positions
Yep,
is Gamer Legion, because we said about them being, you know, this kind of system. It's not Swiss. This should be better for them.
it
That was
should
your
be.
go-to, right?
Yep,
Your go-to was not Swiss
that's my
system. So
math.
going beating complexity and VP in stage one, zero problems with that. But then losing to Falcons, there's also zero problems with that. 3D Max, they should be able to play. I could give that. 3D Max is a good team. So it's like, it's a rough draw when you get into the second stage, right? But it's just, maybe I'm just biased because of Ash, the way he picks his players, the way they use this team. But I feel like they have the potential always to be a team that should be maybe making it to playoffs or being close to playoffs. And this was not even close.
No, not even
And
close.
they
I mean, it
even
was a
won.
close
They even
game.
won 3D Max's overpass, which probably they didn't even expect. You know.
Yeah. I think that's probably the thing that hurts them the most, and especially, Dust 2 overtime that went on for ages. Um, and I can't remember if it was Gamer Legion that they have struggled in these kind of overtime situations. I felt like in the past they didn't. They always seem to
Hmm.
kind of climb through it and surprise teams, but now they're in that kind of
Yeah.
slump. But yeah, I don't know. How much did you see
What
of Kersey, the new offer?
that? Well, I was about to ask you because I didn't, obviously, with the being on holiday, I didn't watch too many games of Game Legion of my choice games, right?
Yeah,
So Kersey, I was not looking at. I was going to ask you what you thought of him because I think I saw some clips where I'm like, these are some okay moments,
I
but
think
like,
I've seen them a little bit. I can't say I watched all the
hmm,
games, but I
yep,
remember watching a couple. I think I watched the nuke against Falcons, and I think he was okay. Sometimes he gets caught in a little bit of a awkward, like, how to say it. It feels like he exposes himself a little bit too much, if that makes sense, with his body when he's moving into angles,
hmm.
and almost like has to reflex shoot to kill
Would
instead
that
of
be
it
like
being
something he
fully
was?
intentional.
Yeah, but is that something where like he wasn't punished for that previously and now he is and now he's got to learn it, do
Probably,
you
I
think? Or
think
is it
there is
just a
a little
mistake
bit
he
of
made
a,
mechanically?
yeah. I think it's not a mechanical issue. It's more like a
Okay.
positional awareness type
Yeah.
issue, and I mean, there's gonna be a little bit of talk about stuff like that later on as well, where we have a lot of new debutantes where um yeah, but it is a different level, and especially like how people are made and what opportunities people take and how fast they take these
Yeah.
opportunities is a completely different ball game. Because if you're playing in the lower tier, maybe you have 4 or 5 extra seconds to rotate into a site, while against a tier one opponent you don't have that, so
Yeah.
you're gonna, yeah, it's you can't stay as much, and you have to be faster with the decision making and be ready for everything possible, essentially. And that takes a while.
For sure. I'm not going to touch on Aurora in any detail, by the way, because a lot of people asked me about Aurora even at Cologne when we were there,
Yeah,
and I just said they didn't have Zantares, so like ninth to 12th is acceptable.
it
You don't
is.
have the full team. You're in this situation. There's no need to go into any detail or waste any time on it. It's like ninth to 12th is completely fine for a team who doesn't have one of their, or if not their like most star player. Like
Yeah,
he's the difference
and I
maker. It's going to be uncomfortable.
I mean, I watched the face game,
Hmm.
which ended up knocking them out, and they were in a huge lead on Nuke against Face. I strictly remember X Cloud screaming at the Face players, and eventually, after he did, they
Don't
didn't
do
get a
that.
single
He
round
didn't
after
learn.
that.
Bro, how did he not learn? He didn't learn from his heroic times. Carrigan literally told him from the video logs to the thing, he was like, if you're going to do that to me after a game, I'm going to do it to you and I'm going to
Yeah,
make you suffer. They got punished for that last time. So just because you're on a roll with your Turkish boys, you thought that was going to change? That's-
they had
Mistakes are made,
such
maybe
big
you'll learn.
momentum, and I think they lost against like a force buy, and then Face just kind of
The
killed the game
classic
from there.
phase, forced by win to it. Um, All right, so we've covered on the Australia situation. One more team to look at then before we get into some of the bigger names is NIP,
Yep,
because the Aurora one, honestly, I expected more in their Aurora game because Aurora's playing with X Files. I thought I see a better NIP. Yeah. They did beat Heroic twice. So they beat Heroic in both stages. They beat 3D Max as well, which qualified them from stage one to stage two. And they lost to Navi, but he did manage to take a map from Navi. This is honestly, I think I've said this before somewhere like ages ago, but like this is the most happy I've been about watching an NIP in so many years.
I agree. I
Like
think,
Wrinkle is great, by the way, like fully.
yeah,
Ex Kaspersky
he's the
was
real deal.
a
He's
big
the real
pickup.
deal. Honestly,
Yes,
he is the real
yes.
deal. He looks sharp. I was sitting right here by my PC, watching
Yeah.
that like 4K on train when he went out yard on T side, and he just smashed four people. He like turned around, killed one white box by Olaf, killed the guy electric. I think he killed one back bomb and back like the big I call it big gap, but it's like camera, old camera
Mhm.
entrance. And I was actually making noise, and my girlfriend was like, I was like, "Woo!" you know.
You're
um,
reacting, when you're reacting from your couch, that's impressive.
yeah, it is. It was dirty, and it was sexy Counter Strike. I loved it, and I think it's like a really really big difference to the
Yep.
level that NIP can reach with this new lineup, comparably to when they had Aros Dose. Um,
Yeah, who didn't hit when he went to an English speaking team. And
yeah,
also, Wrinkle now has some backup. Finally.
yeah, and I also
It's
think
not just a
that
Wrinkle show.
it comes a little bit good also because you jerks he can be a bit crazy as well, has a little bit of that X factor, but
Hmm.
sometimes shy away from games, and having that a little bit more backed up from a rifler that is
Yeah.
also a bit crazy, I think helps them have a good balance on the team where they need it. So maybe Snappy doesn't need to do it all the time, where he needs to run in
Yeah.
first, etc. Can be more of
Just
that
give himself up.
supportive in-game leader, and being able to take that step when it needs to be taken instead of being it maybe his prime responsibility. So I think the balance of the
Yeah.
team looks great, and I think there is actually potential for them to break into, a more common tier one scene. And I'm impressed by the progress they've made, and they've fought through hell, as everyone knows. Tier three
Oh,
and tier two
yes.
scene is. Um,
Dude, they've gone through something crazy. Where are they right now? They're 19th in the Valve rankings. So this event's been good for them.
yeah,
Exist obviously has been coaching them through all this. All of them. When I saw Shush in Kazakhstan, he was just so happy to be back at a big event. He was so happy to have the interviews and doing the content, and it becoming like a normal what him and Snappy were mainly used to, right?
yeah.
Um, so I've got good eyes on them and what they can do, and I think they'll continue to rise. I'll say this now. I feel like they could. Obviously, they're in a position to do it anyway, but I feel like I don't worry about them slipping out from being able to get to a major again for NIP. I'm
No,
not
I,
worried
thi-
about
I
that for
think
them if
I
this
think they'll
keeps
make
going.
it to the next major.
Yeah. All right. From here, Devilwalk, this is where it gets fun for you.
Yeah.
Because let's talk about Falcons. So, everyone, the whole world, anyone who knows about Counter Strike and Kyosuke, however you want to say his name, there's a million different ways to say it, and I'm not going to apologize for any of it. Kyosuke's my favorite because it's the most Japanese I can make it sound, even if he is a Russian player. But for him, right? Cool. We can talk very positively about him. One of the highest rated players of the tournament. But the drop off continues because you go ninth to 12th. Now, losing to Mongols, no problem. Losing to Furia, it's not the end of the world, but we expect more when you have Nico, you have Munasi, you've got Tesses, who has been doing really well. And a lot of the games, we were only seeing Kioski be like a driving force. And I guess I have to understand this now in the sense that we spoke about all the positional things, right? We've seen interviews on HLTV about it. they've pretty much given him everything he wants,
Yeah.
thrown the kitchen sink at him and said, "Go, be Donk 2.0." I'm sure we've all seen that amazing ESL skit.
Yeah.
Yeah, where Kickstan's like, "Yeah, no pressure," and then everyone, and then what is it? Manasi comes up and he's like, "Donk Toy point 2.0." Then Yanko and Nico are there together saying like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna get the first major for him." And they're like memeing of him getting the major trophy and stuff like this finally. And right now, you didn't even make playoffs of Cologne, and yeah, you can say it's the first event and stuff like this, but I'm just gonna put it out there that maybe you gave the boy too much.
I
Maybe you
mean,
tried too hard to change too many things.
there is definitely an element of that because
Mhm.
they, as you say, the men like I think of the maps they played, we haven't seen all the maps obviously because we don't
Yep.
have that data yet from every single map. But from the maps they have played, I think there's only one position on one side that is unchanged for Kyosuke in terms of his old roles in Spirit Academy. So that is
Yep.
ramp on Nuke.
Nuke.
That is
Yeah.
the only thing that is changed for him. And it's not like I think everyone can play ramp to some degree on Nuke if you just know the basic rules of what you want to achieve ramp. It
Yeah.
can be different for different teams, but I think it's not a very difficult role to play. So
Okay.
I think
That's probably why I like
it's
playing
a
it. That
good
makes
middle
sense.
ground for him to like kind of ease into a role like that. And also Nico is like heavy communicator in the team and
Yep.
playing on the outside, which is obviously him running
It's
a
just what he's
CT
known
side would be
for.
probably a bit too um, messy for them to kind of change that whole dynamic on the CT side. But I thought that we would go into a little bit of a segment
Oh
showing
yes,
off
this is it.
a little bit of what the impact of Kyosuke has been or how it has impacted other players on the team and see how different does Kyosuke's Falcons look to Magisk Falcons, as I've
Yeah.
named it.
So we'll officially get into it. We've got a devil walkthrough for you, the first of two in this episode of All About Counter Strike, and this one's the Falcons of old versus the Falcons of new. And I'm just super interested because I threw a bunch of questions at you about this, and you've been doing some research. You've been cracking on for me, so I'm going to hop on to what Discord now, right?
Essentially, we have here a little bit of a skybox. I have a bunch of different tabs open right now, so I can a little bit draw and see, what has changed. Essentially, is the big
Hmm.
question. So if we go through on the CT side, we have Kixan. He's moved into the B anchor role. Kyosuke takes that middle, but the rest is relatively unchanged. Nico, and if we move Monos, he would be the support flasher for Nico and Tessus to take long. Nico
Uh huh.
is the short player, but here we're just seeing a little bit of an anti-eco, and you can see Kyosuke is a lot more aggressive than Kixan used to be. He's staying that mid doors, having that support. Nico kind of holding lower for him so he doesn't get popped off. So that's
But
the
this is
only
just great
real
to have them two.
change for the CT side. I mean, we're gonna see rounds where you obviously have four-man long and stuff like this, but he's
Hmm.
the outside B player and Kixon is the anchor now. That's one change. So if we
Okay.
just talk about what does that imply for an in-game leader to be stepping into an anchor role. Now the thing with Falcons is obviously Nico is running a lot of the show on the CT side. They've mentioned that multiple times in the past, so maybe that's not a
Yep.
big difference. But Kixon obviously being more used to being supportive and maybe used to having that kind of information flow that he can hear in middle to be able to direct his team a little bit more is lost and put a little bit more
Okay.
responsibility on Kyosuke, right? So that's where I could
Yep.
see, okay, this could be different. This could be, I mean, it could be good, it could be bad. We will see. Right now, they still look very, very positive on Dust 2, at least on the CT side. Now, for the T side, We
Hmm.
have Nico moved into dark. This is Tess's old role. And we have
Okay.
Tess's being more of actually outside long. Now on this, they have, you see here, this is his responsibility. He's just taking it from different position. We have Kyosuke is on Nico's old role, being the more active, pressuring middle, taking short control, that kind of good stuff. And really, what I want to do is just, we can show you a little bit here, a video of what Nico does in this round, essentially, and how this impacts Nico's performance. Because you can be critical of Nico not posting the same numbers as he did before, but just
Yep.
imagine how big of a change this role is for him. He's holding upper dark, and the amount of opportunities and impact you can have is you can pressure with a little bit of a lurk smoke in a good timing, and he's being pressured here. He's doing it like he's doing a really good job here. To be fair,
Okay.
see Kaisuke out middle at this point, and he's just pressuring. But you're not going to get that many opportunities as the previous playmaker of the team in a spot like
Yeah.
this, comparably, right? You're going to be there in the executes, perhaps go for a lurk kill in middle, etc. But you're not going to have the same impact as previously if we just jump into the old one with Magisk here.
Hmm.
So here we see a normal standard round. We have Nico being active here, Magisk outside long, kicks and tests has some kind of bait setup, maybe if someone goes aggressive. But here you see Nico, what he does is super, super smart. I'll actually go back here and show you why it's so smart. So he gets naded and lower here.
Hmm.
He falls back, he plays a bit safe, he mollos, flashes short. The CTs then proceed to mollo themselves and nade. He instantly runs up to take short. He knows no one is playing close, I can take this safe. He's already put up a smoke, a lurk smoke here. Now he will get a lot more opportunities by doing this. He's in a more central position. He can choose to go out middle.
Yep.
He can choose to poke out, short if they're doing some sort of B split. He can drop CT and help his team that way. But when you're isolated in dark, the only real thing you can do is you can help your teammates hold mid so they don't get flanked when they are short, or you can hold that dark spot, wait for them to kind of overwhelm middle and go in on the last second on B in a B split. That's what you can do. But otherwise, you're basically just holding the map control and then you're rotating to whatever call it is. You can see Tessus here, for example. It's moving down lower,
Yeah.
grouping up with his team in the right timing, and rechecking dark. And then, okay, we don't have the timing now. And then essentially what I said, he will be a little bit passive, stay in that dark position, spray a little bit, and jump through the smoke when the timing is right. His job is just to
Yeah.
hold this, make sure the CTs don't push in when they do the B split. So
And so he's
you
got
don't
control of it the
get,
whole time.
yeah, but as Tess is playing this role here in the old, you don't get as much opportunities. But if you
Yeah.
see it, Nico here, he's the first one running up here into B, getting flashed in, bam bam, and he gets a kill back plats. And he has a lot more actions to obviously fail, but also to do good in, to gain that impact. Um, so that's essentially what I wanted to go through on Dust.
So it's a lot though for Nico, who was always the star, always set up to have these plays, right?
Yeah.
That he will be now in a position where he's not just given up all of this, but he's learning something new later in his career.
Yes.
Now, definitely very experienced, an amazing player. He can adapt to this, but it's like you're giving up everything you used to doing.
Yeah,
And
but
people are going to look at the numbers, right? They're going to focus on the stats and
exactly.
say he's not doing this, but he's now not in a position to do that.
No, now if you would just take it in, if you would play dark every single round, obviously a Counter Strike team doesn't really. This is not the round that's played every single round where it's always
Yeah,
dark.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, but there are things where he's not going to have as much impact, but it's also going to affect the team when they want him to have impact. Um, One example could be, let me see if I just find it here a little bit quick. So I think it's a little bit earlier. Here, here's a good round, a good example of what can happen when you want him to have a lot of space taking. He's holding a little bit upper dark. They've lost an entry in top middle. They want to group up here and lower. And what happens here is like you've left a lot of space to get flanked when you've lost this entry. Where maybe
Yep.
in the past you would have a Tessus holding lower, but they're staying very, very grouped, very, you know, there's like a 40-second margin of they could push. Now they don't get
Yeah.
punished for it in this round, but there is a sense where with the new roles, um, you're not as aware. Like I don't think they ever even checked behind them for a long push. Here is the last time, and that's probably a 25-second mark where someone could have pushed and shot them in the back. Now these are small
Yeah.
details that you're not used to having this responsibility, and it creates gaps in the way you play, even if it's not intentional. It's something that they will learn, and that it will iron itself out a little bit. Um,
Hmm.
but they're definitely not used to it yet, and it's gonna make them, even though you have a very good Kizuku is momentum based, he gets frags and he wins you rounds on his own. If the
Yeah.
rest of the team isn't really following up and isn't, know all the intricacies of their role,
That's correct. Yep.
um, you're still gonna leave gaps and you're gonna be punished for them, especially when you're playing a high tier tournament like this. And swapping a
Yeah.
role from a playmaker to a passive role is an extreme change. Even though he's a great player, but he's great not only because of his high mechanical skills, but because he's smart and he takes fast decisions when he
Yeah.
gets the correct information. And you're not going to get that much info in these roles that he currently has.
And for that, right? Obviously, it's Nico's going to be affected mostly, right? But am I right in saying that
It's
Nico's
actually a
affected as
mix.
well? But it's also, yeah, there's more players that are going to be hit by this, right? Which is why the team looks so less synergized now.
So even if we're like looking at like most of the maps, it's
Hmm.
actually like the one that is changing the positions the most is Tessus and like Nico and Kixan together, but Tessus and
Hmm.
Kixan, the Tessus is taking the brunt of the changes most
Okay,
of
so
the
he's
time,
the one who's going to suffer the most.
because it's a lot of these things where if we would move on to more maps, we will eventually see it. Like if we take a look
Yep.
at Mirage now, for example. So previously we had a Nico being under or top mid in a more of a
Yep.
playmaking role. Now we have a Kyosuke here, a Magisk Nico position, or however you want to call it, but Magisk's old position here on T side, Nico is taking.
Yep.
Now this is a role where you can be very smart. You can find opportunities to take that one-on-one duel, but you're usually going to be traded. But you have more opportunities than a B site dark
Yeah,
player.
like a double push, a ramp or
Because you have
something, right? Coming
multiple
down.
opportunities to do something and link up with your team. Um,
Hmm.
so here on the T side, it's just a straight swap in Kyosuke to Nico and Magisk. If we look at, this is the old. So Nico was the playmaker here.
Yep.
Tessus has the same role here, but yeah, they're supporting. So there's not that much more. If we look at CT side, we had Magisk here, we had Kixan here, we had Tessus on short. But in the new one with Kyosuke, Kyosuke is taking Tessus spots. Tessus is moving to B anchor, and Kixan is moving to A anchor. And Nico is
Hmm.
still in his CT spot. So I think what they've tried to do is like, okay, Nico is used to calling CT sides, so therefore he will be a little bit more untouched on the CT side, and try to move other people around. But it's also Kyosuke was a short player before, and then they done this kind of rocade, or so to speak. Um, but yeah, it is a big change for especially Tessus here, being an active player to jumping B apps. He's kind of taking a step back, and you're gonna see that on other maps as well. Uh, Nuke, essentially, a good example of that, where we
Mm-hmm.
have here Tessus. This is the old with Magisks. So you have Magisk here in lobby. You have Monacy kind of filling in if they want to do any ramp pressure. Tessus is in top silo, and Nico is on the yard um, here, like the playmaker. Once they do the smoke and
Yeah.
Kixan supporting him. So in the new one, it's Kyosuke is actually lower yard. Nico goes top silo, and Tessus is moved into lobby lurk. Um, we'll see that, for example, here. So it's essentially the same playstyle. They've just swapped a little bit of positions, but
Yep.
it's still three new positions on the T side. It's like more than half the team is changing their
Yeah.
roles in some sort of way. Even if Nico is used to yard, he's used to being the lower yard that kind of takes the space and kind of creeps around in the smokes. Maybe isn't as
Yep.
used to maybe looking at an op when you jiggle the silo corner. Um, but when it comes to this, also, I think one thing that kind of takes a little bit of time when you're changing the playmaker, especially on a map like Nuke, is
Mm-hmm.
along the sides of this. Just so actually, I forgot to show that, but either way, we're going into this. So this is the same round where we have kind of Kyosuke in the aggressive form here, where you have the smokes. Something that happens when you change players is like can be hard to find the right way to condition the CTs because you're not used
Mm-hmm.
to what conditioning is and how do you condition in Counter Strike. You essentially try to utilize this name smoke pattern, same kind of pressure, kind of trick the CTs into reacting or trying to figure out how they react or try to solve a problem. This could be, for example, here the CT solution was to push for the smoke and try to challenge
Yeah.
them before. And you
So he's
see
ready for it.
the rest of the team are essentially they're ready to go for some kind of ramp push. But just doing this, applying the same pressure, like next round, I'm sure that he wouldn't push it through the smoke. So they kind of had to try to figure out a little bit. Okay, what's the next solution? Maybe they're nading smokes. They're putting the AWP out here. Maybe three or four or three CTs are ready when they break the smoke. Try to figure that
Mm-hmm.
out and find the right timing. Now, if you're consistently changing personnel and you're used to a certain way of calling and a certain pressure to be applied in a way, or a certain way of communication style in that to figure out information, that can be way harder to do with a new player who need to learn what information is actually important to convey when you're being that playmaker and solo player. Something that Nico has bunch of experience in.
Well, I was going to say that we always talk about Nico's style of being a captain, right? Not an
Yeah.
in-game leader, but a captain, a leader of men, and his voice is so important. Kioski's coming onto his first attempt of speaking English in a team, right?
Yep.
He's played his faces, he can do it. But do you also think that that synergy with the team is also going to have taken a hit? The positions are
100%.
there, and then also the communication is not going to be on point, which is going to make it even harder for them to know what might be needed or what be done. Because what might have been natural to him in Spirit Academy and his team know exactly what to do is going to be non-existent right now.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's also not, even though like Tessus, Modus, and Nico, they've been in a team together for a while, they've kind of synergized with the players they played with. So, for example, Nico
Yeah.
and Tessus have had a synergy on Yard with Monacy or Kixan, who's supporting them. And then when Monacy is going into, when they're playing 3-2 on outside with two lobby, Monacy has been playing with Magisk. They're used to a different kind of temp, or maybe they swing different, clear different, and you're used to like a different shift of movement together. And these are
Hmm.
things that you maybe don't necessarily voice everything. how you're moving and how you want to react, but you maybe have things like you want to clear this corner, I'll clear this and I'll push forward, but maybe he's still holding from a longer away angle and he's not ready for the trade when he pushes forward, etc. These are like small details that actually does take a little bit of time for players to learn, even if you're doing it with, you know, the same teammate in
Yeah.
essentially. But these things, you know, let's just say like the best team is the one that makes the least mistakes, and the more gaps you're gonna
Yeah.
give for you to make small, even micro mistakes or macro mistakes, you're gonna have a higher chance of losing. I mean, simple as that. And it's gonna take a little bit of time with people having three new roles on T side for them to get to know that player in that situation again. And they're going to have
Yeah.
to talk
And this
things
is the
through.
first event.
Yeah. And it's going to take a couple of months because even though we say, yeah, it's Magic versus, you know, minus and plus Kioske, it's not as simple as that because a lot of moving pieces is being placed in different positions and they need to learn. It's not like Tessis is has been lobby lurking for his entire life. He needs to,
Yeah.
yeah, but it's hard to get to know these timings. You need to. It takes a while. It's like we talked about rain becoming an anchor all of a sudden. It takes time for people to learn these new roles. Yeah, they might have a good
Hmm.
idea of it, but a good
It's
idea is
different
not
playing it.
enough to play in the best tournaments in the world against the best players in that positions. So
Yeah.
we're gonna see a little bit of an off time where people have to figure out a little bit more of how can I regain the impact I had in my previous role in my new one.
So I said this, right, and I'd love to get your thoughts on it. I said that with this new Falcons team, I think it'll take 3+ months for them to get back to even have a chance of being at the level they were when they had the old team. And people were complaining about like, oh, Magic's this and Tesla's this, whatever else, but they were still placing well. The major was embarrassing. That wasn't good enough, right? But they
Yeah,
knew these changes coming in. Magic already knew it was being kicked. So there's a lot of factors in this. But now people expect because Kioski was what 1.5, 2 million. We don't know what the rumor is, right? To take him. More money spent, Falcons being such a team that everyone loves to hate and meme on. I just think if you just look at the players and you look at the ability that's there, if we're being realistic with all these changes you're talking about, the positions, the new way they have to get used to everything, is 3 months you think is like a fair time? Is it like almost starting fresh?
I think it at least on maps and sides where they have positional changes where there's like three uh, players that I kind of have to do like a chess rocade, or I don't know if that is
Hmm.
the word, but either
I don't
way.
play chess, so I don't know.
But it might be the Swedish word. But either way, like they're shifting three people to different roles and spots.
Yeah.
There is a relearning experience because it's a lot. It's like changing, like you have to change your whole T side to some degree, um, and you're probably gonna first, you know, month probably just rehash how you played before, and then
Hmm.
maybe this style doesn't really work with Tessa being lobby lurk compared to Magisk. Maybe he needs more help or more support, or maybe Kiosk needs more support and need to shift more people to playing heavy outside on the T side. There's a lot of these small intricacies that some rounds will work with different players and they will not work with a new one, even though he might be a better player, just because they think differently, they approach things differently. Maybe one
Much
guy
different level of
is more of a
experience.
lurker and tries to bait and gain information, while the other one is aggressive and takes the entries. So these things
Yeah.
are can have a huge impact in how the round is being developed.
And does that mean like everyone's calling already that this is such a disappointment? Obviously, I think even Nico. Let me check. He tweeted like it's embarrassing or
Yeah,
something. If
it's
I'm right.
something along those lines. I think
Which, by the
embarrassing.
way, doesn't help. Yeah, he goes embarrassing. Sorry. Like, first of all, it's bad, but is it really embarrassing? Like, I know the individual performance he won't be happy with, but if you're being fair with all the things we're talking about and looking at in these changes, I'm not gonna. I wouldn't call it embarrassing yet. The major was embarrassing,
No,
But
I think we can even reference Vitality to this point. If you looked at the
mhm,
bounty, the Blast Bounty one in the beginning of the
beginning of the year,
year,
yep,
they obviously did really well in the online phase and then went to the LAN event and actually crashed out completely. And it was
yeah,
noticeable that they were not ready yet. They did not have figured
mhm,
out all the minor details for how ROPS is going to be gain impact. Now, obviously, they figured out Kioske, how he's going to get impact, but it's affected a lot of different players, and they need to
yeah.
rethink the whole model in a certain sense. Um, Now we
You
can
got
look
one
at
more for us?
train as well, just quickly.
Yeah, man.
So here we have a little bit of change. This is still like a big change. So Kioske goes front
Okay.
yard. Let me get my drawing out. So Kioske is here on front yard. We have Kixan
Mhm.
actually being the Ivy player now, which was Tess's role before. And Tessus goes inside
Okay.
to take Magic's anchor role. Um, So you're essentially seeing it like this. And in this, Kicksam was before, he was a very front yard heavy player, going into pop,
Yep.
taking T main. Nico is kind of unchanged in his position a little bit. I think only a little bit stylistically. They were a lot more to front yard when they had Magisk compared to how they are playing now. Now they're playing a little
Mhm.
bit more one forward, one back, with Monesi obviously being that rotation player. And also, like on the inside, I think that Tessis is a little bit more aggressive, trying to play this upper position compared to Magisk, who was playing very info based in these sorts of positions. Um, so he's a little bit more aggressive, tends to like this position and taking some random timing duels comparably. But they look solid on the CT side again with Nico, and this shift hasn't really done that much. And on T side is essentially just a straight swap for Kioske. So before it was Nico and Kioske going inside together and kind of clearing pop, and then going into holding brown holes. I don't know what everyone calls
Mhm.
it, but I call it brown hole. Um, so essentially, here there's not much change for them. On train, they're pretty much just a straight swap with Kioske from Magisk on T side. Tess is
Okay.
still
So
being
that's not a huge one
guy
then.
holding alley. Kixan likes to be here around supporting, holding T mid a little bit, and Monesi floating a little bit more depending on where they want to apply that extra pressure. Sometimes towards inner, sometimes helps Tesses take that peak Ivy. So there's not much changing. Here they actually play pretty much identical to what they did with Magisk.
Mhm.
And yeah, this is just to visualize. They played a little bit more front yard heavy, with Tessus
Yep.
being the guy coming out, but not much big of a difference. I think this could be essentially a meta change rather than them changing personnel. If I'm completely honest, that people have started to figure out train a little bit more.
Okay, so it's just an updated playbook more than
Yeah,
anything.
I think so.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
that was essentially essentially it for showing you a little bit on the maps that they have played.
well, it was a very detailed Devil walkthrough, which I appreciate because it was trying to understand this, right? And obviously on the broadcast, there's only so much they can do in timing to show any of this, but we can really deep dive into having a look at what's possible, what the reasons are, because I think there was quite an overreaction of like, oh, Kioski played really well, everyone else on the team failed. Like, what are these people doing, you know? And it's like that again comes down to these people that maybe don't understand Counter Strike to the right level because there's so much more in it, especially in this one.
Yeah, but I think it's important
And
also.
we've
It's
just
not
explained it.
Kioske's fault necessarily, but more in the terms
Oh,
of you know we're gonna have to be a little bit more patient. We can't just say, oh, they've thrown 5 millions to this project and it didn't work out. They Sonic should be fired. Everyone, it's a bit of
oh yeah,
you
the
know
usual.
yeah, like it still needs a little bit time to gel and grow before we can be
Yeah,
too harsh and judge. Because if we did that, we would say that Vitality Rops moves sucked if we just judged them on the Blast Bounty. So
exactly. give it more time,
Yeah.
wait and see what happens with the rest of it. So overall, there's the reasons as to why they struggled so much. They're not happy with it. Um, I can understand Nico's frustrations, but like you lost to Mongols, yeah, that's not that bad. Losing to Furia, you probably could have taken it, but there's so much happening that let's see what happens at the next couple of events. They're skipping Blast Bounty. They said it was about visa issues to be fixed for Kielski because he's never traveled. And by the way, for some people I saw saying like, "Oh, it's an excuse," blah blah blah. It's like, no, they need to understand. For him, if he's never had his Schengen visa or he needs to get his things correctly, there's no guarantee he'll get it in time. And if they mess it up, he might have to skip other events. So
Yeah.
may as well skip Blast Bounty, which we already spoke about, has a kind of not positive impact overall on the VRS until you get to LAN. Remember, the first games are played online, and it's only 8 teams going to LAN, so it's not a huge one. And then make sure he's at all the important events going forward, and make sure he's there and ready. And obviously, it
Yeah,
gives him more practice time at the same
I
time.
I think it's a great time as well for them to actually have this little bit of break. Excuse or not, it's a good timing for them to kind of iron out. Okay, here we can see where things went wrong, and how can we
Yep.
maybe even incorporate Nico to have more impact in the rounds, or how
Yeah.
can Tessus get more
Learning from all of this.
comfortable in the lurking or anchoring or whatever it is they're feeling that they are struggling with. This is a great
Yep.
time to see, okay, this was flawed. How can we fix it?
And also, I watched some of these Falcons games, and just to say about Kioski, it's only 7 maps in comparison to teams that obviously made it through playoffs,
He's
but
the
he
real
hit a
deal.
1.39 rating.
He
Yeah.
he is
Like
as good as
Donk
people were saying.
Donk had a 1.50 rating, obviously played playoffs, went a lot further. But like the next closest player to him is Shiro at 1.22. Frozen, who had 9 maps, not too far away from Kioski, 1.20 rating. So he legit put up the numbers he needed to. And if he can have that while the rest of them get to their level, get comfortable again, then that's when we get the scary Falcons that everyone's looking for and wanting to see. It just didn't have that same wow effect as when we first saw Donk because of all the reasons we've just gone through in the explanation. Donk fitted almost perfectly in and was doing things no one had ever been able to do in Counter Strike before because the rest of the system was already set up.
Yeah,
Where
and I mean,
none of the system is set up here.
and it's also like, Donk is an aggressive player taking an aggressive role, and now we're looking at Falcons. Nico, he's an aggressive player taking a passive role, and that shift
Hmm.
is it's a big shift, and it's Testes coming from being more of an X factor player into a more lurking position and anchoring. It's a huge difference, from being
Yeah,
also in playmaking roles on CT side to taking a step back.
definitely. Definitely. All right, well, let's move away from
Yeah.
Falcons. I think we've done enough touching on them. Let's go on to G2 next before we get into our playoffs teams. I think we got G2 and FaZe to look at here as notable ones. For G2, right? Some Pius, obviously, I hold in pretty high regard. I think he can do some good damage always. Sometimes he's been a bit off, depending on like when he gets going. Actually, on stages, he performs better
Yeah.
than he does just in normal group stage games. Obviously, Saw, we're rating very highly overall because of how he's been able to do things with the projects he's and the players he's had. Like, look at the Ents lineup, look at these heroic lineups. He's constantly been able to go above what people expect of his teams. But I didn't check the actual rating, so let me bring this up now before I get to it because I just remember Matty's obviously comes from Fnatic,
Yep.
but he impressed me. Like he ends with a 0.99 rating. No one really other than Malbs had like a great rating. Some Pius had an awful tournament considering obviously he's coming into this new team.
Yep.
But G2 didn't play bad. Like everyone's talking about Hunter leading. They lost to Vitality. They beat 3D Max 2-0. They beat Furia 2-0. But then they lost to Furia in the lower bracket elimination game. But they could have been in playoffs.
They could
Like,
definitely have been in playoff. I mean, as you said, they
oh,
lost overtime against Furia, and they beat Furia in the previous one. Stayed it close. I think, you know, they're also gonna have a lot of like kind of some players getting open with completely new teammates
yeah.
and probably I think there's a lot of shifting for him because he was the big star in heroic, and
Yeah.
I'm not sure you can really say that he's like the big star in IG2. He's more gonna have
Hmm.
to get in with the common folk. I almost said.
That's a way to put it.
Yeah, but yeah, but something along those lines. He can't be like, I'm gonna do everything exactly like I did
Yeah.
in the past. So
I, I'm happy with it though. For Hunter's first in-game leader, run with it. Getting to work with Saw as well. I'm sure there's even more changes Saw wants to add into it. Um, this is not a team maybe to get excited about yet, but they put up a good placing, not a great placing, but a good placing for the new team. When everyone was kind of down and out on them because they lost Nico and they lost Munisi, and it's like, oh, you can't recover from that. And then a lot of people I saw saying, well, they have no star players now. Well, maybe give them some time to
uh,
cook here.
I mean, I'd say so, and I mean they did place above Falcons in the
Yeah, that's
tournament,
even more funny.
so it's
We took all Falcons money and we placed higher than you and got more prize money than you.
yeah. So like you have to say it's acceptable, especially it's a huge change for them, changing like converting to an IGL for Hunter.
Yep.
But I'm happy to see like Mabs really getting in form again. He's was devastated when the lineup kind of was over to
Yeah, and
some
he was so
extent.
harsh on himself when he
Yeah,
didn't perform.
so that's
So
really
this
nice to
was this was
see.
good.
Yeah, it's an exciting G2 to be honest.
And then we got to look at FaZe because Brokey was back, yeah, and I loved how Carrigan gave away in the interview that, like, I don't know, this is it's kind of awful in some ways, but he said that they were already talking to Brokey and telling me he could come back while they were playing the major and Simple was there. Like, so any chance and hope that people said that Simple would stay on phase was seemed to be already out the window before they even got to the playoffs, when obviously that's where Simple didn't perform as good as what was expected of the GOAT. But Brokey basically got just an extended holiday and a bit of a kickback in the sense of go fix yourself,
Yeah,
go get some extra time you need. And I think Carrigan described it as a punishment.
yeah.
And sometimes you need a kick in the balls every now and again or a slap round the face in order to realize that, like, you need to try harder, you need to work hard, you need to do more, you need to get back into it because it's not an easy game where you can sit back and just rest, especially if you're on phase as well.
No, but I mean we can reference even when we had the conversation with Hooksy, and he was talking about like he likes to have the pressure that he's not safe. That's when he like kicks
Yeah.
in and works hard and likes to perform in. Even though it is sometimes it can be overwhelming, obviously. But having a little bit of a
Yeah.
reminder, okay, I'm not immortal in this lineup. I can't just do whatever I want. I have to
No
actually also
coasting.
step up on the server and perform. Which,
Yeah.
to be honest, Brokey looked a lot better than the last time I saw him. Which is
Definitely. By the way, physically looked better. I didn't see him in person because he'd already left by the time I got here. But just from the pictures, it felt like, I don't know, maybe he'd gone. I'm just guessing, but maybe he'd done some gym or
yeah,
something else.
probably
Like he looked a bit physically better as well, which I'm obviously that's always going to be a positive for
yeah,
him. Looking at the results for FaZe though, it's like, first of all, Rain had one of those events where I don't know, maybe he was just happy to be back with Brokey. Maybe just felt like something was clicking for him.
yeah,
But never count Rain out. Just never count him out. This guy can do almost anything. He can hit this form. I think it was it the Aurora game? They got the 13-1.
yep. On
Uh,
Mirage,
yeah, it was that game. And then they dominated Aurora. They dominated Liquid. Aurora, again, we come back to that. They played with a stand-in, so fair enough. Liquid, they've got a lot of problems. I think the problem they had was they faced Navi twice. They lost 2-1 to Navi in the first game. It was obviously Makazi's first ever game in Tier 1 as well. But then Navi leveled up as they were playing games, and when they
yeah,
faced FaZe the second time, it was just they would already improve. They'd already worked some things out. Um, Navi are known for long days, long practice days, Blade pushing everyone to go further, and then they do show improvement quite a lot across the tournament. But I
yeah.
still think for FaZe, Seventh Dave's not they're not happy, but to come back with Brokey, to have been in the situation they've been in across the last year, this is it's an acceptable performance. I'm not
I
going to
think
be
it is. I mean,
screaming about it.
no, I think there's you're starting to look at it with some hope through the scope,
Hmm.
because before everyone looked like they couldn't hit a shot, everything was wrong, they're
Yeah,
tilting, none, not a single person on the team thought it was acceptable to some extent. But now you're actually seeing people pop off, and like some of that individual brilliance they all have starts to shine through again, and you can see how they kind of
yeah.
enjoy the game to a certain extent. So maybe like the having to play or uh, having played with simple kind of gave them that kind of kickstart. And
He's demanding. He's
yeah,
very
and
demanding.
like also maybe you start thinking about Counter Strike in a little bit different ways, and once you've unlocked that kind of thought process, a lot of other stuff starts making sense. And maybe it was good that because they obviously talked about Simple being a little bit demanding, not afraid to
Yeah.
call people out when they made mistakes in practice, etc. And maybe they adopted some of that as well, so that they could have a little bit of more efficient practice and yield better results from it.
On one thing I want to touch on because people seem to always allow Carrigan to get away with it though. Carrigan 0.78 rating.
Yep.
Obviously, it's not terrible, but I mean, when when do we now need to sit back and say we need a little bit more from you because that could be the difference maker here, you know? Because I'm happy if I see him like a 0.90, 0. I don't know, let's say 88, something like that. It's not great, but I feel like he maybe had to manage all this stuff going through the team and all the changes, and then this performance drops off again. But if he can have a little bit more without just relying on the rest of his team to do it. That can be we've been here before with him, right? Where he said, I've been back grinding DM, I've been back less on the tactics, more on. Are we just in that mode where it's back to more strategic and tactical team stuff? And now I've dropped off a bit and we have to fix this. Obviously, there's a balance with it, but we are in this position where your apexes, your choppers, your blitzes, for example, are putting more number output. And I've always said with this on you of saying like it's not just about the numbers and the stats with it. There's a lot of reasons and factors that go into it. But being that low can also be a bit of a hindrance, right? And
I mean, yes, to a certain
we
extent, but
can't just let him get away with it just because he's Carrigan.
no, no, I don't think so as well. I think when you drop to 0.78, I don't think he's happy with himself and his performance.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. But usually, I also think when you look at the way Kerrigan plays, and he's usually very aggressive. He's very
Yeah.
likes to go first. In that sense, it can be really hard once you're stuck in this kind of suicide role, and then finding your flow in a game when
Hmm.
this is the best call, but you're going to be able to put yourself in a terrible position because of it.
Yeah.
uh, it's like a
It's what you're setting
individual
up.
responsibility versus team responsibility thing.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think it definitely needs to step up, and probably I'd say they'd probably win a lot more matches if his rating was more at 0.9. I think that's completely
Yeah. That's what
acceptable.
I'm looking. That's what I'm looking for from him,
Yeah,
personally.
and that can even be really, really good considering some of the positions and situations he puts himself in.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, look, FaZe is getting there. It's slowly but surely getting there. It was nice to see Brokey back. I
There's
think
light in
Brokey
the
actually
end of the
performed
tunnel.
really well. I think this break for Brokey was beneficial,
Yeah.
and I like that he's back. But I need to see more. It can't just be this one event. I know I need to see Brokey back on his bullshit again. That's what we need to see. The Brokey bullshit is real. Um, so let's start looking at our playoffs teams in here. Let's go through the playoffs. As I'll start with the first playoff game we had. It was Navi taking on Mongols.
Yep.
Um, we can get into Navi a little bit later because we know we got a bit more special mode to go on to it. But I'll just say that for Navi, Mongols had been a problem. Winning that Inferno was crazy. Like I was in the arena I watched all of it from the best seat in the house, basically, right down on the floor in the middle of it all. And Navi had the game, and then it started to slip away from them. They cost themselves a bit on the CT side, but once they got into overtime, at times it felt like they had it, but it was like can't win some CT rounds, then can win some CT rounds. Are we going to fail it here? But once they got through that, I think Mikaze. Let's just check Mikaze's T side rating. So CT was really good.
So
T
I
side he struggled for a bit.
yeah, T side he struggled a lot, but I think
Yeah,
Mongols had everything to win Inferno, and I think because they lost from that 10-4 lead, I think they lost to like Alexi B picking up like a 5-7 and killing them on like an anti-force on B site. And that started the comeback for Navi on the CT side, where they got to
yeah,
pick up a bunch of weapons. They mounted 5 rounds in a row, and Mongols couldn't really, chain any rounds together. There was a lot of close, like kind of clutch moments, and you could really see the frustration in Mongols, like what we should have closed this, because they were almost
yeah,
playing with Navi at a certain point, and it felt like became a little bit overconfident, just walking into that B site and got punished, and then they just never found the groove again. Also, Makase was huge on the CT side. Picked up, I think
yeah.
he had like something like 3 kills on the T side and 9 deaths, and I think he was like pretty much a top performer for Navi at the end. Picked up like a 3K, 3K, 2K, multi kills, like multiple rounds in a row to bring them to overtime. Um, and yeah, it was a joy to watch Navi, and it felt like I don't know. We're gonna go into this. I don't know if we should do it
Yep.
now or if we should move on to the playoff bracket and revisit this
Well,
conversation.
let's also talk about that spirit game before we get to
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
So we can go from here to talk a bit about obviously the Maus Furia game. That was the other quarterfinals one. Furia had that. Furia should have been in the semifinals. They threw that Inferno. What were they up? They were up 11-7,
I mean, you could
and
say
they
they
lost
threw Train as
every T
well to
round.
some degree.
Dude, it was I felt bad for them because Molodoi is legit. I actually put Molodoi as like my potential. If he had a full year playing with Furia,
Yeah.
he'd be rookie of the year. He'd be rookie of the year by far. I love what I'm seeing from him.
I mean, the only problem is there's some rookies that are really really good this year. Let's just put it that way. There's a lot of rookies that are really good.
Who am I forgetting that I'm overrating this? You're not going to say Kioski, are you? Because he's going to struggle as well because he's only had half a year.
Yeah, but I mean, you have obviously Molodoi, you have Kioske, you have Makase now, uh, you have
But
Sway.
Mikazi and Kioski are only starting from this point, right? As
Yeah,
way
yeah.
as well.
You have Sway. I have to actually check.
See, I'm thinking that's what I'm thinking. Molodoi got a little leg up on these guys by starting earlier.
Yeah, he did. Let me see. I mean,
Maybe I'm
there's
just
there's a
recency
bunch
bias
of
on them.
kind of new ones in Heroic, as an example. There's a bunch of Gamer Legion.
No,
Um,
there's see none of them would I put into PR. Maybe PR
yeah,
potentially. I give PR some credit, but I still think Molodoi just has more
he might
moments that
actually
I
be now.
remember.
Like as you say, he might actually
See,
be
see,
Rookie of the Year at the moment. I'll agree on that.
getting that getting that Astana event double playoffs now. You know, he's showing himself. He's definitely showing himself.
No, I agree on that.
And so Maus were on the ropes across this series. Yeah, they were struggling massively.
Yeah,
And I feel like what's this 58th right for um at the major as well for Furia. Fissure was pretty bad, but then you have a very solid run at Cologne, and I know it hurts them. I spoke to Molidoy, I spoke to Quesarado as well when I've been here. Um, but I spoke to Sid, the coach, as well, and I just said to him, like, we're seeing progress. Like, this is still good. I know it's not, you're not going as far as you want and the trophy's not come, but there's a lot of changes in this team. You're trusting Boladoy and he's having the impact you need. You swapped languages, like you've got your kind of part translating half the time for Moladoy as well. Um, I'm really in on this Furia, man. I
No,
really
I think
like
they're
him.
super
And I
exciting. Super exciting.
and Mouse is just lucky that it was Furia dropping the ball. Otherwise, they would not have even made it to the grand final. They wouldn't have stood a chance in it. But Mouse have that ability, right? Mouse have kind of like a new phase style where even when the chips are down,
Yeah.
they've got enough belief in each other and enough individuals that it can quickly change around. Like Zershan's the most craziest one, right? Because sometimes he can have games where he is botting out, like having no success. And then suddenly the last 3, 4 rounds of a game, he'll be like, okay, I figured it out. And I'll just like I'll say one thing. He doesn't seem to get he can have the worst game and he can still come back into it.
Yeah. Oh,
He's not someone that's given up.
but I think all mouse players kind of have that ability to some degree. But yeah, Xerxan being more of the aggressive, especially like
In his
on
entry and
yeah entering and CT sides, always putting himself first, and you'll have
yeah.
to give him some respect that he never shies away from it, no matter how bad of a game he has. That he continues to do what is said by the team that this is your role and your responsibility to do,
Yeah.
that he keeps doing it.
He's like, I'll keep running it. I'll
Yeah.
keep trying, even if the chips are down. Um, then we can look at I guess, let's look at Mal's vitality. And you're going to have to do all the legwork here, mate, because I saw nothing. I was stuck in my signing session for all of this. So Mal's have lost 7 games in a row to vitality. Vitality is their kryptonite. I'm just going to go stat man for a moment and be one of the people I hate. Zyru had a
Oh, but
0.63 rating.
this is the worst game I've ever seen from Saibu. And he
I'm
didn't
shocked.
like he
In
didn't
Cologne.
the thing is he didn't really like it's not like he was bad,
Yeah.
but he
Well,
wasn't.
stats wise, he was bad.
Yes, but
Actually.
yes, but he just never got the opportunities. He consistently got, I guess, to some extent, he was not as aware as I'd normally see a Saivu. Where he's like, he knows exactly where everyone is on the map consistently. He
Hmm.
got caught off a couple of times, which was like not something I'm used to seeing from Saivu. But overall, I mean, the only person that was even remotely recognizable in that Vitality team was Rops, who had to like he aced around from A ramp. He did a 1v4 ish, 1v3, depending on how you cut it.
Yep.
And he was the only one keeping them in the game. Like they could have been a lot more stomped than the score wise actually shows.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
On Mirage, this could have been a 13-5 victory for Mousesports if it wasn't for Ops.
I'm gonna have
Um,
to watch this back to understand because I'm just I
it,
know how much Mal's wanted this,
yeah.
but it's also I didn't expect it. I expected if they're gonna win, it's gonna be a brawl, it's gonna be a fight. Vitality gonna push into the very last minute, like what we expect from them. Um, I've only heard the things from Twitter and stuff as well, but like I heard that Apex said that maybe they should have come back earlier from break or been more on the game time or something. I don't know
No,
if that's
but
true or not. Remember I'm reading
I mean,
headlines here.
to be fair, they fought and played pretty much every possible game they could play of Counter Strike last half of the season,
Yeah,
except the first tournament. They probably deserved to have a little bit of a break. Now, obviously, like when we talk to Apex, the hardest thing is to stay on top and kind of keep that hunger
yeah.
and revisit those goals and kind of keep the grind going, but rather have a fast wake up call like this than a gradual kind of
A
decline.
slow decline
Yeah,
into it, like second
like a slap in the
place
face,
into
kind of,
struggling.
you know. And it's still like we're complaining about Vitality's play against Mouse here. Still, it's like one of the
Mhm.
worst performances for them in the entire year, and they're a semi-final.
Yeah, that's that most teams would be happy with that, you know?
That's so
Most teams
funny.
would take that and be like, "This is fine. I'm good with this."
Yeah,
But you said you watched it, right?
yeah,
Did you watch it from the VOD?
yeah. I watched the VOD with the
Yeah.
casters.
What was the thing where someone said about like Apex was screaming at Flames? Like we know he can be like this and emotional. Was there something shown? Was there something I missed?
I mean, I did hear they went into some kind of, beep beep voice like
Yeah,
comms mid game. But honestly, I couldn't hear shit what he said, and I didn't
yeah.
like restart it. I
Okay.
I just
But
didn't understand it, if I'm completely honest. So I
that's
don't know
fine
what
then,
was
because
said.
I'm I'm guessing he was trying to get them spurred on, right? We
Yeah,
know what Apex can be like, but I mean, 37 best of threes and best of fives, the best season of all time, and absolute dominance. They did start off their year by losing the first event, and this was the first event for them of the next part of the season as well. So anyone that's going to write him off just from this doesn't understand like what abilities there. And this is probably a great wake up call for them in terms of back to it, boys. This is this isn't what Vitality's accepting.
yeah, and I think it's a healthy wake up call. Um,
Yeah.
and it's probably good that they got a little bit slapped now, so they understand it's not like they got lucky. They actually got outcalled, they got outplayed. So there was a lot of things. It wasn't that you know one guy popped off. If you look at like highlights on HLTV, it's all Rop's highlights. So it's Vitality were lucky they weren't.
Robs. It is. Yeah, it actually is.
So
Right.
Vitality were
Robs was like, I
lucky.
was playing bad. I can get MVP. Let's
Yeah,
win this. Let's go. Finally, it could be my,
finally a
my
chance.
MVP. He's like, please. He's like, will you just play bad? The rest of us play good. I can be the one finally to get an
Maybe it was
MVP.
even Drops who poisoned Saivu before the game to just to just to have a
Don't start saying that.
chance.
Someone's gonna clip it and
Okay.
actually make that like someone will throw that at them. Rob secretly. Also, the good thing is with Rob still having a good performance, no one can say shit about his Porsche and what he's doing with that. No one can
True,
complain about
true.
that at all.
No, but Drops was amazing. And he would have been the best performer on the server if he got a little bit more gun runs to play with.
So what you're saying is he got a Porsche buff. He actually played
Yeah, Porsche
better.
buff. No, he was
The
he was
999
insane.
FPS is real.
He
Oh, that's
was
good. Well,
truly
that's
insane.
positive anyway.
Yeah.
All right, so we won't go from this then into the Navi one. Let's just talk about what we're going to do next with Navi because they lost to Spirit. They but they could have won 2-0 against Spirit and been in the final.
Yeah.
I spoke to Alexi. I've been spending a lot of time with Wonderful. I spoke to Makazi a bit as well. I would say I was just giving him a lot of love and a lot of praise because I think it's very hard to come into Navi who have so much structure in this Blade way. And like he even told me personally, he said, dude, there's so many things written down and all these things I need to go through that it's like, it's a lot. You can't be ready. And their
Yeah.
map pool realistically wasn't that strong. Like he's not remembering everything. They're not going to be fully there on all the maps. This was a great performance. And it's just in the cruise. Like they should have won Mirage or at least had it in overtime. I feel like they should have won Mirage. Nuke, they did really well on. And then Ancient, that was like the go-to good map. They were just getting absolutely smashed on in the end by Donk. Like
Yeah.
that's just the way it was going. And I don't think there's anything wrong with how they approach things, really. Um, they'll be
No,
sad about it,
I
but this is like this for me, this is positives. Like you got a brand new player in. Makazi is the aggression that was missing. How many times did we see in the past where like JL should be going in for something, but then they back off or they're not too sure? Like when JL was feeling a game, he will go for everything and every kill. But sometimes if his confidence wasn't there or if he was getting smashed down banana or something, he wouldn't be able to take it. Makazi was not scared. Like, bro, sometimes he was just rolling out, dominating Donk, and then rolling on the rest of Spirit and saving crucial rounds. Like, there was multiple times I was thinking, this guy actually has no fear. And when I spoke to Makazi personally, he goes, I'm not scared of anyone. He goes, Donk is just a name. And
Yeah.
remember, he's been playing in this lower tier. He's played against the spirit academies of the world and stuff like that. He's dealt with this before. Donk's just another player to him, and that's the level of confidence these younger players are coming with because of the way they're coming up in a different way to our more veteran players.
There's also a little bit of the Albanian fire in him as well. I've
He did say, by the way, he spoke to our boys. He spoke to
yeah,
the
yeah.
B&E boys, and they just told him like, be shouting, be loud, like just go for it. And he did say the first stage part of the game, he was not like that. He was more quiet because it was like it was a lot. And remember, I feel bad for him for this reason. You play the first game of the playoffs, and there's the opening ceremony where all teams walk on stage, which means you do your warm up and setup, yeah, and then
Oh,
maybe 40 minutes to an hour, you don't touch the game because you have to do this walk in and all the stuff. Yeah. And then also the adrenaline's going because you've never stepped on it. So he didn't just have like a normal stage
no.
walkout. He had like
He
the
couldn't just
most
sneak from
intense.
backstage into the PC. It
No,
was
it wasn't like just no, even this, right? Think of a normal walkout on the semi-finals day as just walk out with both teams, you go and play your game.
yeah.
And that's maybe like a 15, 20-minute break. This was almost 40 minutes to an hour break because it's the big grand opening of Cologne 2025. First of all, it's his first ever. He stood there, bless him, with his Kosovo flag, which is beautiful to see. You know, they all had their flags up, by the way, the Navi boys. And then he has to be basically not warmed up, all the adrenaline's pumping, and then it's like you're in your game. Like there's for people to understand, there is no time for the rest of the players who've experienced this before. They've gone through it, they understand it. There's nothing that can prepare him for that, nothing at all.
No.
And he still played well.
He
And
did, and
so yeah,
he grew during the tournament, and even
every game.
looking at this like Spirit Navi game, Navi should have won against Spirit. Like they should have actually made it to the grand final, in my opinion.
Yes, yes.
I'm loving that Spirit Navi kind of rivalry is reborn, where it isn't just Navi
Yeah, it's not just
continuously
dominant
losing.
getting
Yeah,
smashed. Yeah,
um,
thank God.
that is it's close, and you could see there was a lot of frustration on Spirit. They clawed their way back on that
Yeah.
Mirage, which you know I thought that Navi should probably have won, having that 7-1 lead on the T side.
Navi had it. They started off so good on every map except Ancient.
Yeah, Ancient they got smashed, but they could have easily won that Mirage.
Did
Easily.
you see the nuke one where like Makazi gets 4 kills, 2 AWP, 1 Tech 9,
Yes,
and then
yes,
an
from heaven.
M4 kill? Bro, that was ridiculous. Like he did everything crazy. And by the way, the secondary AWP mode that was normally put onto like bit, Makazi picking it up a bit there as well was something I didn't expect. Like I wasn't ready for that. And he can be okay with it. Obviously, we need to see some more as first event, but I
Yeah.
mean,
No,
like
but overall, really
he's got a good
positive
arsenal
signs.
of weaponry with him. So from that, let's nicely go into this Devil Walk. It's our second Devil walkthrough of the podcast because we're going to look into some of the changes up for Navi in here, which is obviously it's a very different way. It's not like you're giving Makazi everything, right? As far as I understand it, he's not had the treatment that Kioski's had here. And I guess for me, mate, the questions are looking at just the comparison of positions between Navi with JL and then with Makazi. Looking at how that compares to obviously we saw already with Falcons, Kioski getting everything he wanted. And also, Imma had like such a good performance, way better than in recent times.
Yeah.
I don't know actually if it was factual, but at one point he was having his best ever performance in a Navi jersey. Let me have a look at that because he was playing so good. And I want to see maybe if those changes helped him in any way for that. So that's what I wanted to get into with you and see all of that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think if we just look a little bit, we can look at a little bit first here. Like this is a kind of a B poppy round with IM and JL kind of moving first. Uh, and IM is jumping out first. He's checking everything. He's clearing, and he's getting killed from the back. And we see JL here. He has a little bit more of a passive kind of role. He takes a space, kind of holds an angle rather than follow IM to a certain extent to kind of get those trades.
Mm-hmm.
We did get a trade here in the end by Bit and Wonderful jumping out of the window. Um, but it's I think leaving IM a little bit too isolated. He's doing his job good. He's trying to clear, trying to find someone out. They get the trade because of it, but there's no real follow through. It's a little bit slow here on the B site. Um, and I think we can even bring this up to a video if we look at it from this perspective. It's the in game
Yep.
perspective of the same round, um, where you kind of follow JL's uh, kind of point of view, and you see I am dying there over at electric box, people filling it, but then it kind of slows down, and rotations kind of have a chance to kind of chime in and take spots on the site. Not
Hmm.
necessarily bad, but it's a different way of playing. If we're gonna kind of compare this to a Makase round, Makase is
Yep.
the one going first. I am following, and Makase is just straight running. He's going to take the space, move out, and I am much closer and dropping
Yeah.
down with him eventually to kind of cover that initial, space taker role because he's played that role in the past. He knows what's up. He
Yep.
knows what he needs help with, and he doesn't take as much of a passive kind of position where JL took behind Car.
It's
Um,
quite funny because I saw this first one was when I was watching on Ancient, and I saw there was so many rounds. I think it was against FaZe where Immer was like, McCarthy's going. Immer was so close to him. And then sometimes Immer was just ready for that first contact, even just crouched behind McCarthy. And it was like a double wombo combo attack,
yeah,
like being ready to just pounce and on point. And I feel like that suits Immer's style. And also, McCarthy is not scared. He's just going in. There's no falling back. He's just straight running and fighting.
but it is one of those things where I even, looking at things, I've never seen him as like a pure entry fragger. It's kind of just been a role he's had to take in this Navi
Yeah, he's been
for
forced
things
into it.
to make sense. He's a great playmaker. He's good at playing around smokes, doing damage, using utility, and sometimes taking that all-in duel. But he's not that kind of flicky entry, checking every spot. Kind of guy, which Masaki most certainly is. He likes to push forward, likes to take that space, and I think that's the biggest difference. There are some other differences for IM on other maps where he takes more of a lurking position and maybe
Hmm.
gets a little bit more time to play around. We can see around here, for example, he now goes as the kind of lurk here on short to kind of join
Yeah.
in, and Makasa just cleans house with that speed he has, where he just goes
And
straight in, takes the duels. He just drops out B apps here and chases people down. He does it in such a smart way.
Do you know what? It's good as well because how many people were telling the world, you need to cut Immer. He's not the one. He's not good. And it's like I said this, and people just said because I'm biased to Navi that like, oh, you're just saying that because you like him. But his contribution to the team in terms of communication, talking, ideas, what he brings to the table was so big. And it's almost like this situation now, even though it's just the early event, it's the first things we're looking at, just suits him better in being able to be the better version of himself.
Yeah, and actually looked at one round or two comparison. I don't have the round now, but I'll just write like kind of draw it for you. So I timed the
Yep.
round where JL essentially started here in a B pop situation.
Mhm.
Here we see this is where Makase started. After 5 seconds, Makase was out here, and JL came to this position because he's much more slow paced and cleary in
A
the
lot more
way that
careful.
he goes through it. But he started from a
Yeah.
longer position away and just jumped straight out, went to default, and it becomes this. Even if Makasa dies, he gets into that role where he has very flicky aim as well. So sometimes it just looks insane
Yeah.
when he jumps out like this, and he has that
He
speed
clears a lot
on
faster on
yeah
things.
on A
He's
ramp
got
as
that
well.
like ready, ready, ready.
Very very fast on taking space, and I think it gives the rest of the players kind of filling the void and coming in a lot more sense of what's going on, what I need to cover. It's not as chaotic. Like if you're positioned in these positions
Yeah.
and had your entry die here, all of a sudden there's so many positions they can walk out. Maybe there's a smoke popped. They gain so much space where they can move around, and you're still afraid of rotations coming in and opening and whatever. So
Yeah.
it eliminates moves. It also gives these people to kind of position themselves better, because you know that he's not afraid. He will push all the way front market and
Mm-hmm.
pressure the opponent, and they can kind of react on that information and get into better positions for the afterplant. So I think that's
So,
a key area of what makes Navi also a little bit more dangerous now on certain maps.
yep.
Mirage is one of those where I feel like it looks better, it looks cleaner, it looks faster, and I personally am a fan of it. There are other maps where I think Makase maybe could learn from JL, taking it a little bit slower, especially when
Yeah.
he's on a solo role. But in terms of roles, if we just look quickly, so now obviously not gonna find a round where he has that. But in general, he has that B apps role. So unless they're
Mm-hmm.
doing something very specific, like holding for an anti-eco or something, then they will probably leave IM here alone. Makasa kind of filling in a gap for a bit so they don't get pushed and lose the map control. But
Uh-huh.
otherwise, he is a straight swap with JL on that B apps, with IM still
Okay.
going under. So there's no role swap essentially, except that I
Yep.
am on like rounds, that he gets to be more of a trader kind of person rather than the
Second one
first,
in.
yeah, than the first guy out.
Yeah.
And if we look
What
at,
is it like on the CT side?
oh, on the CT side, it's also a straight swap.
Okay.
So Makasi is short, where JL used
Yep.
to be, and JL used to like to go into ladder room. When I checked things, at least the last couple of games, and they were obviously struggling a little bit at the end.
Yeah.
IM and Makase actually looked quite off sync, where, for example, Ime would be here in the corner close con, and JL would be in ladder room, and they didn't really have the sync. But now we see a much more active Makase willing to kind of, you see here they both back off at the same time. It's not worth it. They get into positions where they can cover for each other and play a little bit more safer. There's also things where when Makasi is actually playing ladder, you have him a little bit more in the crossfire here so they can cover each other. Like if Makasi
Mm-hmm.
wants to cover this side, Ime has his window boost, etc. etc. So they're playing a little bit more together. And also I think because they are playing more together, Im is not as isolated and dies as often entry, because Makasa can be there and cover a lot more with his presence.
So they're covering
Um,
each other and they're actually
yeah, I think
working
they,
together already from the
and I
beginning.
also think the whole team looks a little bit sharper in the way when they want to clear things, they go as a group, they have
Mm-hmm.
flashes ready, they're moving as a unit, which was something that lacked a little bit more. It seemed a little bit more hesitant
Could that
to do.
be could that be just because like a new player comes in, it's that rejuvenation of
I
sorts?
think
Because
I
they
don't think
spoke
it's a
about being the
JL
same team.
problem thing.
Yeah.
I think it's more like rehashing old rules and like, this is how we want to do things. Okay, now everyone's refreshed on it. There's no doubt in our minds. Maybe
We know
old
what we're
rules.
doing.
Yeah, exactly. Like old things that maybe
Yeah.
didn't really rehash, or maybe it's too obvious to talk about. We should know this. Um, so I think there's definitely a certain degree of that, but yeah, I think they looked great. Makasi didn't have like crazy performances every map, but I think that the sync felt better, and especially coming
Mm-hmm.
to the playoff, he was insane, and I think he
Yeah.
grew in the tournament. But having a person like that who's willing to go first, or willing to kind of step out short, or whatever it is. You see here when they're playing ladder and jungle, a little bit more secure. I've seen demos with JL would be in ladder and Imme here in con and be just completely isolated. But I think that's
And
really really nice to see that they have that sort of communication, and probably Imme is the one
mhm.
like kind of ruling it. Okay, let's do it this way or that way. and he just
Yeah,
follows along.
McCarthy's probably in a position where he's going to listen, right? At this
Yeah,
point, you're the young rookie coming in. You know, you're playing on big Navi now. You've got the dream call up. You've actually now done better than any Kosovo player, despite our boys doing well at majors, right?
yeah,
You've gone to a Cologne playoffs on your first event at 18 years old. It's not a full Albanian Kosovo team, but you're doing the country proud. I've even met Kosovo fans, by the way, and Albanian fans in the arena. Obviously, the Albanians are everywhere, right? And they came to support their boy. Um, but it's like, there's pressure on him from his own community at the same time of what expectations are had on him and the way he wants to play. But if he learns from these players around him, all the experience they have, this is going to be something he can really thrive in and grow in.
yeah. And then we have, you know, Inferno, which is
Mm,
also a straight swap on both sides of the map. Makasi is playing on the banana side here, and on CT
yep.
side, he will be a B player as well. So
Okay. So
nothing is
just what
changed
it's
in
just
terms
basically
of,
normal.
yeah, it's like Bit is apps, Ima is kind of second mid boiler, Alexi, wonderful ramp supporting the banana player. The one thing that I think Makas is struggling with a little bit is he does tend to take a lot of damage and nade damage early on in the
From you,
rounds.
Sil. I saw that.
Um,
Yeah.
so
He got bullied, man. Do you know what is this right in saying that he probably didn't get punished for this in tier two or tier
to a
three, whatever
certain
they're playing?
degree, because I think in tier two and tier three teams they can sometimes become a little bit robotic and they're every single round nading here or every single like
Yeah,
they don't switch it up as much, so it probably got caught
yeah,
off guard a little bit with that. There's a lot of switch up and a lot of different ways to apply that utility pressure, but one thing that JL did really good on this map is that he waited a lot in this kind of wall side by the where the smoke pops, waited for when
yep.
utility popped and then asked for flashes to pop in. So that's a little bit
Okay.
of a key difference. The
More
JL
patience.
JL had a bit more patience and didn't take as much damage in Banana. I think that's something that Makasa could probably learn or try to find out. But he did play Banana
Yeah.
on Navi Junior.
And
Now,
this is great, right? Because he's been punished for this in his first bits of games. And I'll say this, even though he was bullied the hell out of, he
yeah,
came back into that game. He is resilient and he still had the confidence. He didn't get it knocked.
he did. And one of the things I was really impressed with was they're still playing that kind of same kind of they want to early be able to flash and peek and kind of deny, tease that kind of early control towards the half wall, and punish anyone walking in. Um, but I think he's so good at this thing where like they're moving together into the site, getting a lot of multi kills together with Alexi B. They're playing great in synergy, just crushing
Yep.
people. We can see it here again. This time they're in like a force buy situation, um, and you see there's like a little bit of an exchange here on Banana. Makasa takes some damage. They're still pressuring, making sure there's not a freebie to come here. Now they're walking back into the site, shifting some utility, getting into a setup. And remember here, Makasi has MP9, Alexi B MP9. They're pretty much 100 HP together against a five-man uh, Mongols. You see Makasi here with
Yeah.
flash. He gets a double
The
kill,
double.
backs off. He's still very low on HP. He manages to get a third one here as they plant the bomb and they can just clean up. So that's a very, like,
That's
very, very
huge.
good round for them. And, one
And
of
he
the
came back for
reasons.
Imma to give him the backup as well, right? So Alexi
Yeah,
died. He got his 2 kills, but then he didn't try and overextend for a thing
yeah,
that rookies would often do.
exactly. So he's super good at this, like, weirdly enough, defensive play on B side Inferno. I was super impressed with him. He got multiple, like, this is not even enough. You could show probably 4 or 5 more of these rounds where he got
Yeah.
multi kills on B side to save them uh, in this game of Inferno. So super impressed with that. But it was this kind of nading. He got naded a lot on Banana, and we see
Yeah.
here some rounds just for funsies. Um,
Just eating damage. Poor guy. That can be the life of a banana player.
yeah. and obviously, like, you get into these positions, and all of a sudden there's just raining nades down as they're kind of retaking B. So learning this kind of stuff where need to be a little bit more passive,
Mm-hmm.
I think is going to be something that, yeah, he needs to learn to either start baiting a little bit more to not receive as much damage, or move into you know, that passive role of banana and kind of retaking it.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, that was this Inferno. And on Nuke, here there is a couple of changes.
Okay.
Because if we look at the, uh, 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 I'll just explain it. So JL used to be inside, right? With
Mm-hmm.
Imme. Alexi B used to be the outside player. Namakas has taken the outside spot, right? And Alexi B has moved inside with Imme. Uh, One big thing that they used to do a lot, having kind of like two of your star riflers holding the inside, they used to do a lot of like lobby pushes, pushing through smokes, kind of be
I
aggressive
remember
into
JL
that
doing that a
yeah,
lot.
in that lobby space.
He had
It's a
that lurk
little
smoke in
bit
lobby
less,
and then
yeah,
push behind him.
exactly. So they used to like push door and kind of double prong attack or double through it. There's a little bit less of that, I'd say. And there's a
Okay.
little bit more kind of from Makase wanting to stay a little bit more outside compared to
Yep.
Alexu kind of wanted to be tucked into the corner in main a little bit more. That's kind of like the key differences from the CT side. So there's not as much. Um, let's say Imme used to rotate down vent and he used to kill people from short or long stairs a little bit more, or jump short.
Mm-hmm.
But now he's a little bit more there trying to take that fight towards yard, and
And
kill
he's
them
got
a
the
little
backup of
bit.
Makazi again.
Yeah,
I really we got to watch this so much at future events as well, of just how Makazi and Imra are going to play well together. Because
yeah.
it seems like they're going to be put into that position so much, even on CT side.
And on T side, it's also a few role changes, mostly from Imme taking that lobby lurk and Makase taking Imme's role of the yard player.
Yep. Was
So
that what he did on Navi Junior? Was he also Yard then?
yeah,
Okay.
so here it's a big change for Imme. He gets to be in a little bit of a lurk role. I think he likes this kind of role where he kind of sneaks out, drops out vent, or sneaks
Very
out to
smart
try
player as well, so
to,
it makes sense.
yeah, to kind of take random duels. So I remember watching a little bit about JL and Imme. I'm just going through rounds, but either way, I'll just show it in writing because I there's so many
Mm-hmm.
Skybox Edge rounds I had to keep track of. Um, but Imme and JL, the biggest difference is JL pretty much always wanted to lurk out door and T-vent. Imme is a
Mm-hmm.
little bit more flexible, joining in on hut, but the main difference is JL wanted to tuck into the smoke here and aim top hut to try to catch people off guard, and then drop vent after he cleared a little bit. Imme likes to just go straight down vent and hold, and kind of cash the rotation off. We saw it even against Spirit, like Donk got caught off guard, rotating down vent one round when Imme was there.
Yeah.
Um, so there's a couple of situations where the dynamic is changed, obviously, with a little bit of an aggressive yard player and a little bit more sneaky door player. In this case, where JL likes to take the, yeah, catching people off guard on hut. Both can
Mm-hmm.
work to their advantages, but it's a small change in dynamic. But otherwise, they play pretty much the same. Um, and if we actually, yeah, I'm actually going to show a clip here of not that, of here. So this is essentially what I was talking about. If you look at Imme dropping down, holding down the vent, just waiting for people, and you see they're going for that kind of ramp push, and CTs don't really have an idea what's going on. And if
Yeah.
we move on into a JL, he likes to go out on this T event, trying to aim for a top hut player or trying to catch someone off guard, hiding in that smoke and finding a timing. So he's a little bit more, I want to try and catch a kill, while Imma
Yeah,
is,
one for the kill than the space.
yeah. So there's advantages to both, but I think in this case, I think Imme has more successful rate at least forcing more rotations around if they notice that Imme is down there. It's a very
Yeah.
awkward
They're going to
way
upset
to
what they've got.
force CTs to rotate down into secrets or force them into that ramp or lobby push as a reaction. And obviously, you gain a lot of information here. But if JL, for example, if you die here early out the event, you can kind of lose, a lot of the control that you've gained pretty fast if you're doing the ramp
Yeah.
push.
By the way,
Um,
I truly believe had Navi beat Spirit here, we'd be talking about Navi being champions of Cologne right now.
it's
Not because
very, very
anything about
possible.
Mouse being bad, but it feels like where Mouse was so happy they beat Vitality, that like they didn't come with their A game. And this version of Navi would be for a grand final again, first time with this new team, they would be so on it. Might not be in the same fashions from 3-0 or something like that, but I mean, I've got that belief in it just because of how Mals are playing on it. Just on a side note here, because of how close this was and how good this game finally was from Navi to put up a fight against the Spirit
Yeah.
that they haven't been able to do for so long.
So I'd say this is the map, Ancient, where the most role
Hmm.
changes happen for Navi.
Okay.
So,
And this is the Makazi specialist map. This is the one he loves, his favorite.
so essentially, what I'll tell you here is Alexi B has actually moved into that B lurker role, at least early
Hmm.
game, where Bit is actually taking Alexi B's role of being the second support in case they need to go fast mid and have 4 flashes, etc. in timing.
Yep.
Who then joins, Alexi B. And Bit used to be that second guy out mid with Imme. So now this is obviously dependent on spawns, who
Hmm.
is going first and not. So it's not like Imme is the pure
It's not
entry
a straight
here,
entry
or
one. Yeah.
no,
It's
it's,
timing.
yeah, it's all based on the spawns, who's gonna go first, depending on how early they are. Um, so that obviously leaves, gonna have obviously these more rounds. But I'm gonna try to find. Here we see Bit has kind of taken that role of flashing and
Yep.
Alexi B going straight into it. So that's the biggest thing on T side. Obviously, there's role changes again on the CT side, but
Hmm.
I'd still argue that this is a better combo where Makasa can go kind of straight out. You see how fast he wants to take the space, and there's potential of even,
He was constantly getting into red as well.
yeah.
His red and donut control, he was always ready.
And it's a little bit special having Alexa B here on, the caller kind of isolated here on the B side.
On his own,
Yeah,
on an island.
but I think he can probably do it a little bit better than, because I mean, having Bit hitting the sides with this amount of riflers, I think this is a good fit for them still, because he can join in and be lurky anyways and gains a lot of information here to make the calls.
Okay.
Um, on CT side, it's a little bit of a weird one because you have Makase kind of taking Imme's old role with Donut, Imme
Yep.
kind of being in red a lot more than Wonderful. It almost looks to me like Wonderful is the A player, and if Wonderful wants to take a shot in, B, or if he wants to take a shot in mid, then Imme is gonna be the one rotating back and covering
Moving
for
over.
him. But in general, it looks like Wonderful is the A player, which is a little
Okay.
bit weird. But yeah, so also Bit used to be the A player in the past.
Yep.
Now is the kind of banana anchor here on B. Alexi B is the cave player. So that is a change, but I think it's a good change
Yeah.
because I
By the
feel
way, I'll
like,
say this before you say it because I think for me, Bit M4A4. He loves that gun. Yeah.
yeah,
this B rushes, this B play coming out where he can go a little bit more pokey and push out, and how fast he can be for headshot. That's a change I like the sound of.
I think it, like, just looking at his qualities is probably a change that, like you say, it suits him. I think this B site is
Yeah.
something for him. He's very good. Also, he's a player that I don't think is afraid of people poking up and challenging him. I think he's very
Mm-mm.
comfortable with
He likes that.
yeah, these kinds of plays. And it's an area where you're going to gain so much from having a player being able to be independent, not forcing
Yeah.
Alexi B back to that B site or being able to die early from just a lurk, which kind of leaves a lot of space on the map to try to regain. If someone comes up here and starts smoking off and mollowing off, creating panic across the whole
Hmm.
map for CTs. So
Yeah,
this
you
is
know
a
he's a safe
change
pair of hands.
I really, really like. And it probably was, not everyone has the patience to play A
Yeah.
on this map because it is kind of a B Mirage apps situation.
It's a boring, thankless position.
It truly is. Truly is. Um, so yeah, Makase having that donut, the rotating around on rifle a lot more often than wonderful. But it's a little bit interchangeable. And it looks great for them. I mean, in this map, they lost one T round here against
Yeah.
Mongols.
They
Absolutely
only got
crushed
slapped
them.
on it by Spirit.
Yeah, and this is obviously just to see how they obviously played wonderful here a little bit as well. But I think Bit
Hmm.
was a little bit more towards that A site on his own. But they had this kind of wonderful A half of the time and Bit half of the time.
Okay. So still
Uh,
rotating around A regardless.
yeah, but
Just
this
different players.
this map has a lot more changes. But on T side, I'd say like as long as you are these players and having the flashes and then coming B, if you're already a player that did that, it's not that big of a
Yep.
change. Um,
And I also think Makazi and Ima taking mid like that is so strong as that 1-2 punch again that we were talking about. And just the fact they're going to play with each other a lot in these different maps and these different positions is going to be something to keep an eye on, but something very powerful for Navi to use to their advantage.
yeah, and I think it unlocks Bit to a sense as well. It's just, he's not forced to always be the one going out and fragging because he's a great closer of rounds as well.
That's the whole point, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think balance-wise, overall, Navi they look a little bit better in my opinion. I think they have a little bit
Hmm.
more, speed when they're going for rounds and being fast. There are still learning curves on some maps where they need to find the balance for
Expected.
Makase. Um, but overall, I like the balance a lot more, and that's probably why they've done so well. And I think that they're looking like this could be the piece that kind of elevates them into challenging for tier one again. Um, and
Finally. Well,
yeah,
they were always in tier one, but I mean, they dropped
yeah,
off so far from being
but
a title contender. I
let's
guess
just let's
challenging
just
for
say they
trophies
could
is the
be
way
in
to
the
put it.
conversation of actually challenging for titles again because that's
Yeah.
not where they
Yeah.
were in the past 6 months.
I like him. Right, well, that leaves us. Well, thank you very much for all the devil walkthroughs on that. We get so much of trying to break down because people ask for it in the comments as well when we're talking about how to keep improving the podcast, what to do things differently. We're adding something that can't or isn't being done by other people. And we get it live with all my questions getting to be answered. And we get to understand all the changes that have been going on. So sick work, my dude.
Thank you, thank you. It was a lot of information to keep in my head because there's so
Yeah,
many maps. But
I'm lucky. I just like, basically interview you and just ask you questions while you have to figure it all out. Oh,
But it was
dude.
fun. I feel like I probably know the most about Navi and Falcons now after watching the differences of the old one and the new ones kind of unfold and kind of breaking it down more deeply than just watching a match. Uh,
Well, maybe Falcons should watch this. Maybe it'll help them. There you go. Someone send this
Maybe.
to Falcons. Maybe send this to Sonic guys. Pass it over to him. Send it to the analyst. I don't know. Whoever else is there, give them a helping hand. But still a little bit more to talk about with Cologne. We got to talk about this grand final. Um, Honestly, I predicted 3-1 in favor of Mouse. I thought, and maybe I was just stupid in this, that Mao's beating Vitality and how much it meant for him, that emotional but also so happy Torji interview he did with Shocks, where he's like, just laughing. They finally did it. I think now, like, now looking back at it, obviously it's with hindsight, right? We know the result. It's like they beat the final boss, but it wasn't actually the final boss. Yeah. Because they beat Vitality. They've been desperate for that win. They lost 7 times in a row. Then they do it. And then they go up against Spirit. And they probably, I wouldn't say they think like, yeah, we can beat Spirit. It's going to be so easy. But all year, apart from at Cologne, they were beating Spirit. They played like, how many times did I say they played? Let me just check. I think they had guaranteed they had 12 maps played before this grand final. Yeah.
Yep.
And 6 of the maps had gone to overtime, which is crazy. 4 series, all best of threes, 3 won by Mouse, 1 at Cologne, the most recent one before the grand final, won by Spirit. So you're thinking, okay, Mouse got an advantage in this.
So
And the difference can be donk, sure, but it wasn't just donk here because Mouse in some situations lost to themselves. Ancient, for example.
so I have a question for you. I mean,
Yeah.
I've thought about this question myself, but if you look at Spirit right now and you compare the
Hmm.
Spirit to the Spirit with Magics, do they actually look better, or is it the opponent that looks worse?
Hmm. I will say that Mouse didn't look worse if we're specifically talking about Mouse.
Yeah.
I will say that the one thing I noticed, it seems like if you're looking at pure numbers and stats, people
No,
are
not
saying that
numbers. Just to
Zwei
like
to
eye test. Look at it.
cool. That's yeah, because people are saying Zwei Magix. There's no real different comparison, right? It's the same kind of thing. But I'll say this: eye test wise, when I look at Zwei, he is more mechanically gifted and can play better at times of hitting crucial kills that maybe Magix would have missed in the past. Maybe wouldn't have been closed out. Like I actually now see that I'm not looking at like Donk, Shiro, and Zontix. I'm now already thinking Donk, Shiro, and Zoe. That's how I'm looking at it in my head.
I mean, I'm not as convinced as you are about this.
Okay.
I think he had a bit of a, I don't know, poor showing is harsh. I think he's been in roles where he hasn't had that many opportunities to
Hmm.
play his game. It's been more of a like a passive uh, player who's kind of just holding the map control for them, and he hasn't really found where and when he can have freedom. Um, but I personally just felt like Donk has played the entire freaking semester. You know, like there's no vacation for Donk. He's just grinding and he just goes
I didn't
in.
ask him, but I don't think he's been on holiday. I
No,
know Zontic's been on holiday after Shanghai, for example, but I'm pretty sure Donk's the type of dude that would just been. We need to check his faces stats, but I mean, like, I'm pretty
he
sure
just
he was
looked
just
like
playing.
he looked as sharp as if it was in the middle of a season. You know, there wasn't that much. I don't know. He's just so fucking overpowered. It's crazy. Um,
Yeah.
and he's yeah. I feel like there's a little bit rust on other teams, but it's obviously
Okay.
incredibly
When was the
impressive.
player break from? When did we leave? So so 18th of June, yeah, was the last game he played before the player break.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. On Face It, and then the next game he played was the 10th of. So let's look at this on my calendar. Just bring this up. So June 18th. That would have been after the major. Yeah, June 18th was just before. So he was playing Face It before major playoffs. Then the major playoffs hit. They obviously get eliminated by the 10th. So he had 2 weeks. He had 2 weeks and 4 days before he started grinding Face It again. And it was like 2:50 in the morning, 10th of July, midnight, 1 p.m. Like, and on the 11th, he would play. Bloody hell, he just played so many games. 12th
What
played,
is this?
13th
10
played,
games on a
14th
day?
played, 15th played, 16th played, 17th played, 18th, 19th, 20th. He took a break on the 21st and he went 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th. Yeah, he was just full out grinding from there until the 1st of August when obviously he was getting to Cologne.
Yeah. But
So, like,
he looked
his
sharp
break
as
was
ever.
minimal.
And I mean, yeah, he's just crazy to watch. He is absolutely crazy because he doesn't
But
shy away from
let's
any
look at
duel.
this. Let's talk about this. I love Nico. I'm a big Nico fan.
Yeah.
But in 1.5, maybe 2 years, Donk's got Major, Cologne, Cato, and MVPs from all three. Nico's still struggling for the major. It's been 10 years. Obviously, everyone kept calling him the greatest rifler. Individually, he's always looked like that. But this is not just Donk surpassing him. This is like, as an individually skilled player, there is no better player individually than Donk. We've
No,
never seen anyone like this. And in his roles and in what he can do, this is just, this is why he has Donk 666 in his name. I call him the devil child. He is actually the devil child of Counter Strike because he's demon
I
mode,
mean,
owning
the
everyone
only thing Nico has like going for him in the debate is obviously longevity. He's been in
for
the game
sure. But I
for
mean,
so long. But in terms of like
I'm not
accolades
worried about
and
Donk's
achievements,
longevity.
uh, I mean, Nico must have more tournament wins and stuff like that, right?
More tournament wins, but Donk's already equaled his MVPs.
Yeah. Well, he will
Already equaled his
surpass him as
MVPs.
the greatest rifler of all time. I have no
For me, he
doubts about
has.
that.
For me, he already has. He broke the records. He achieved the big trophies, the big three. He's got the major as well, which obviously
Yeah.
has a bit more of a rise to it. And he even said after this, right, he wants more. He's not this player who's like, I've done this. I'm going to be unmotivated. He remember he enjoys playing the game. He doesn't like it when his team skips tournaments. He doesn't like it when he's not playing Counter Strike still. He's still, and I know we should talk about the game in some ways. So it's not just going to be us harping on about
Rambling.
Donk. But do you remember when I said after the major, Donk didn't want to do a loser interview when Spirit got eliminated?
Yep.
Chopper came to me. He always does. He's always so good and kind of me, gives me more English interviews than anyone else. I think I got a very good relationship with him. Um, but Donk didn't want to do the loser interview because when I saw him, he wasn't crying, but he had like tears in his eyes after that
It's like
elimination, right?
angry
He was so
sadness.
unhappy. Yeah. But then for all the people like who and they hate Donk. I don't know, maybe they hate Donk because he's too good, but they say, oh, he doesn't care. He only cares like about trophies. Oh, he's so bad to you on interviews. First of all, I kept saying this, he's so young. So like he's learning his way with this. English isn't his first language, but guess what? He's already doing very good at the English interviews. But he had tears in his eyes looking at that Cologne trophy because it was something he wanted so much. And even on the MVP interview, he doesn't care about the MVPs. He wants trophies. Trophies is the legacy, right?
Yeah.
More majors, more big events, more Colognes, more Katowices. You know, this is what this guy is aiming for. And he's still yet to become really like a man. 18 doesn't make you a man. You still got to learn. You got to grow. He's going through life, you know? Think of all the money he's earned, all he's going through. And he's not one of these people I see him with like, he's splurging out cash on things. I told already the story on the podcast, like he was reading the Kobe Bryant book as well, Mamba Mentality. This is a smart kid. This is a smart young adult.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he may have a lot to learn and grow into, but you got to respect this. Like he's not emotionless. He does have desire and motivation and he does have feelings. And that showed. And that was what was so beautiful about this win. And especially because it's been a rough season up until then, you know?
Yeah, I mean, 100% agree. I mean, he's been frustrated kind of all year because I think Spirit were in that conversation. They probably put themselves in that conversation that this is Spirit's year before
Yeah.
Vitality started dominating everyone. They kind of took a back seat. Uh,
Yep.
Not only to Vitality, but they took a back seat to more teams like
To
Mousesports. And,
Mouse.
you know, it's he's the best player in the world.
Hmm.
Um, and in you know like a rifler being in that position is
We've never had it.
crazy. And
Never had him.
I understand his frustrations, like it's also because we're hyping him up obviously, and he's trying to
Yeah,
tune that down a little bit to kind of keep himself on the ground, which is probably a pretty healthy
smart.
way of of looking at it.
Yeah, we don't want
Um,
ego donk. That'd be terrible.
I mean, he probably has ego to some degree in the game,
But I mean,
but
we don't want it like
no,
visual ego, like I'm the best, walking out fucking Conor McGregor style or something like that. You know?
or like all of a sudden, I'm sick of going first.
Yeah, he's like, you go first.
You go first.
No, he he just sends Zway out every time and then starts trading him. By the way, that's another thing. Well, I know we're glazing donk the whole way here, but Zway, I called it his first tier one tournament because, like, yeah, he's competed at some majors and stuff, but it's with the Miga. He's not been at big events. Yeah,
Yeah.
for his first event on Spirit, and you walk away, your first trophy is Cologne 2025. You're 17 years old. It's not like donk numbers or anything, but that's pretty damn cool.
No, that's
That's and
super
he had
cool.
moments, bro. He got the last kill on the last map as well in a 1v1, I guess clutch we'll call it, right? It's not like a 1v2 or something, but he got that last kill. He wasn't like that's gotta feel great for him, man.
And
And
I
even Shiro had a bad final.
Yeah, and I mean, Sway is gonna be better and better the more you watch him and look at him as he kind of gets used to this. Because I mean, he was
Yeah.
honest in his interviews. He said he's not fully comfortable with this kind of thing. He's not in the best, confidence mode. So once he kind of gets integrated, and I think a lot of it is for these young players, especially when you come into a team like Spirit.
Mhm.
If you're the aggressive player like Donk, it's much easier because you're gonna take the pace that you want to go in. Um,
Yeah.
W can only go so fast. Uh, whilst being the more passive and having extended stretch of a round where you have to stay alive, you have to keep the control because they're very slow paced in the late round, and like keeping your focus and not zoning out into the audience or doing something
Yeah.
wrong or whatever it is much harder from that kind of position. Um, so I think he just needs to learn a little bit more where when he can take his freedom, and when he can get his opportunities to shine, where he can play from his gut feeling, still follow the rules and the system and everything like that, but still be able to express himself on the server. I think that for
Yeah.
me was lacking a little bit. I didn't really get to see Sway. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But that like you said, it will come with time. But I
Yeah.
just think when I'm looking at the way he was playing some individual when he had that freedom on his own, there's a time where he was like outside yard, looking A main, three CTs pushed him. He got 2.5 in there, held his own. Like he was ready, he was aware, he could take them fights, and he's not like I would think that Magix would maybe get one, but maybe not be as sharp to get him that quickly. And it's nothing against Magix, but it's just like it's a younger upgrade in some sense like that. And also, Zway's got this good attitude, kind of similar to the Donk style of saying like, I always want to do better. I want to get the trophies. Like he's in the right mentality point. I think
Yeah.
that's what's going to work here very well. Um, I will say that with Shiro performing for a grand final 0.99, like, I'm actually fine with that because of the way obviously Spirit use them. But normally we're relying on the Donk Shiro whole style. But Chopper needs a mention because Chopper sometimes was calling the right stacks, the right positions, the right way of things to go. And also at times, like I think it was on Mirage, him and Donk had like the same numbers. Maybe him, Donk, and Shiro were the ones like, let me check. I
He
could
even
be
aced
talking out
on
my ass.
Mirage, I remember,
Yeah, on
on
B, right? When they
BX.
tried
Yeah.
to push in through the smoke. Yeah, look, Chopper had a 1.26 rating, the same as Zontix. Obviously, they played really good on Mirage, but it's like with Chopper's doing that as well. And by the way, the thing, remember when everyone was saying, like, oh, kick Chopper, they need new IGL as well. Like people were saying kick him and Magix. And I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, like Chopper, he has some moments where it's not great, but I mean, he's never been someone where I look at and go, yeah, they should get a different IGL to Chopper. Like, no, this guy's been through it all. And the players love him. Like his team love him, and the relationship he has with Hallie, something's definitely working there.
No, I think Chopper is. He always surprises me when I watch him because he doesn't look very individually gifted, but he can shoot.
Sometimes he looks a bit slow, you know.
Yeah,
Sometimes I feel like it's maybe his time to kill is like less than what I would expect, and it doesn't matter if he's an IGL or not. It's just like I think it's like it's a labored spray or like
yeah.
it's a not so clean shot. But then other times he'll just, it's like sometimes when they're in the worst position and they're really down on rounds, Chopper just has this spin and he's like, well, fuck this, guys. Like I'm just going and he'll
I
mow a
think
few
is.
people
I
down.
mean, I think the biggest thing about Chopper is he's really good at finding gaps in the slow pace rounds,
Hmm.
and like finding the space that they need to take, or finding a flank and wait for his
Yeah.
team to kind of distract them, and he comes behind and gets a kill. So he's using his brain a lot, and finding these gaps, and it's not easy to find these kinds of gaps or pressure opponents. I mean, there was even this like. I mentioned this in the. I'm not sure you were here, but it was like the Nico commented on Austin post of Spirit's Nuke T side, and he did a video of that.
Mhm.
And Nico, I'll even put it out here. So it was like Austin made like a 3 minute video calling like this is the worst T side I've ever seen on Nuke ever,
What spirits side?
about Spirit. And Nico, he said this essentially. I can explain to you what this is. Round 6, they saved 3 weapons without any utility. In round 7, they could only afford 2 smokes. The fact that Chopper could get under heavy and put so much pressure on Navi with such low utility is impressive. If Sontics could gotten the kill on Bit, they could have won the round right there. The upcoming round, you said that they failed the smoke line, but if you do any basic background work, you will see Makase will throw a molly close T-Red to destroy their smoke line. I like your content, but you should understand more context to the rounds before criticizing players.
Ooh,
And
spicy Nico.
yeah, but
Fair
I
play.
mean,
It's
it
good
was
though.
fair. It was one of these rounds where like Chopper they did saved rounds. The weaponry. He still manages to pressure out any smokes on yard. Gets under heaven.
But
Manages to dodge the op and like kind of was really close to wonderful under heaven. And he
mhm.
somehow manages to get past him and get into ramp
Oh
with his
yeah,
team.
because no, do you know what happened? I remember this round.
Yeah.
Wonderful for a molly, yeah. But
Oh,
before,
yeah,
so
yeah, he
as
jiggled,
Chopper knew the
just
molly was going, and Chopper like before it even landed. Remember, it's the CT
yeah.
molly, so it's just a bit more shit as well. But like Chopper goes, and Wonderful still thinks he's locked in. Wonderful even pulls out a pistol to go hunting for him, and like Chopper's already gone, man. He's
Yeah,
got he
he's,
took all
like,
the space.
running
He's
back to
just
ramp and
vanished. He's
regrouping with
like,
his team
okay,
from
give me
lobby.
this space. This is great for me, and they ended up winning that round, which is absolutely wild. But also, like with Nico saying this to Austin, my thing is I like a lot of Austin's content. Some of it's funny, some of it's very informative. But as someone who is informed about the game himself, he before he puts any tweet out to try and get the clicks or the views, he should double check these things.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, you need to be like, I'll always say if I'm not sure about something, I think I remember it like this, and then we're like checking it live or something, right? You can't you can't try and set a fake narrative on it
Yeah,
just to
but
get the views
it
out there.
was still nice to see Nico kind of defending another team, like, come on, like, this
Yeah,
is
that means he's watching as well, man. And that's the
'cause
caliber of Nico, right?
I think
Watching the
I've
games,
always been,
enjoying
like,
it.
a protagonist, I don't know if that's the right word, but for maybe analysts are a little bit too critical of players sometimes without really, you know,
Well, we've
taking
had this
rounds in
conversation,
context.
right? Sometimes analysts like, oh, by the way, I'll give this to even defend some talent on how we look at things. Watching the game from the arena, not in the talent room, yeah, and being there live like I was, I had no distractions from someone coming in who's a producer and saying, we've got this, or someone
Yeah,
saying,
yeah.
get ready for this. Like sometimes I don't see
It's like
six
makeup,
to 10
makeup.
rounds of a game. Yeah, but sometimes I miss 6 to 10 rounds of a game because I'm doing interviews for another game in advance because the time is so short, right?
Yeah,
So then people go to me, why didn't you ask this question about this round? I didn't fucking see it. Like, what am I supposed to do? Just make up questions that I didn't have the information to, and they blame me for like not having it. Like some of the analysts will be pulled into a meeting for the next game while the current game is going on,
yeah,
and then you also miss a bunch of those rounds. So it's like I can sympathize with them sometimes, but it's also on the tournament organizers to either have a better flow or a better schedule or better tools for people to work with to do this. Because even now, some analysts will be so critical on players or teams, right? But they don't have the ability, like you just did there with Edge, for example, to go straight in and pull that out because the game ends and they're thrown straight onto
Yeah.
a desk. You know, you've been there, you've done it yourself. And then you also have to do a bit of guesswork. So some of that job is guesswork at the same time. And then afterwards, yes, someone can make a video, but that's because they've had hours to review the demo and check that molly and remember this thing. It's only what you can do off live. And that's where like some people can really fuck up by being overcritical. Some people can play it too safe by being too nice. There's a balance with it, and it
Yeah.
depends on many of the situations that outside people are not aware of who aren't in that. Like so many times, I had a new appreciation being a fan in the arena. Yeah, not working for anyone but myself. Oh, obviously doing the one expect content, but I mean like I was just chilling. Yeah, and I saw so much more of the game that I was even thinking, I could ask this question now. I want to see what this going on. Like there was a moment where I noticed on Mirage it was, yeah.
Yeah.
Always Donk's first one in. Well, one round, because obviously Mouse and Spirit know each other so well, they've had all these games. They send two players ramp, yeah, and Torzi and Brolan's already there. Like Brolan's playing anti-flash, Torzi's off to the side of him. Torzi goes in for one kill. Oh no, sorry. Brolan goes in and gets the one kill with an MP9. Torzi's unknown. But guess what? They sent Donk on a lurk through
Was that the
mid. He
round where
gets
he
all this
aced?
space. It was either Ace or Forker. He did say it was something
I
in
think he aced
Donk
it.
incredible moment.
Yeah. I think he
And
aced it.
basically he cleaned up everyone because guess what? They thought, oh, Donk's in first. So that whole push is coming in. And it wasn't Donk. It was Shiro that went down first. And all of a sudden, Donk's like, ha, 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 I'm just going to kill everyone and do what I do best. And they weren't ready for it, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I think that
seeing
was the
that, that
round
might be
he
a moment
came up
I,
stairs, right? He got the 2K, jumped
yeah,
into Tetris, hid, and then when they did a 3-man retake from CT, killed one default,
get the
killed
other
the
one into
smoke,
jungle.
and then the jungle guy.
Yeah. And so I saw more of the game because I didn't have any producer in my ear clicking on
Yeah.
something else, doing something else, you know, and that's definitely a factor in it. To talk about Mouse quickly, they threw Ancient like it was 11-5, I think it was, and that's going to haunt them. They were 11-5 up. They let Donk do a little bit of his master stuff, right? He was taking a lot of
Yeah.
control, and I think they started to realize it was slipping away. But when they had the chance to get that, I feel like if they'd got Ancient, we'd have a series on our hands and we might be looking at a different situation. But once it got to Nuke, it was already over.
Yeah.
Like,
But I have to agree
even when
with
they got
what
8-4,
on the, like, when I was thinking about predictions, I actually thought that Mouse would have it. Uh,
yep.
but it most
They were not the
certainly.
bookies' favorites, by the way. The bookies all were going for Spirit being favorites.
Yeah, but
Nearly every
I
single
just thought
bookmaker.
like, okay, they just beat Vitality. They're gonna be full of
Hmm.
good vibes and
Confidence,
confidence and
belief,
everything.
everything's nice. We're going
But
to get another trophy.
when I look back at it now, it's one of these like
Yeah.
traps where they got overjoyous and they
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
relaxed. It was like they already
Yeah, but
won.
you say overjoyous. In the interviews, they were like, but we know the finals tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I
Yeah, but
agree
that's
with you.
something you say. You still
You can say, yeah,
overjoyous.
exactly, exactly. And so I just feel bad for Mouse because that's now 5 finals. You've had 1 trophy. It was Cluj Poker when there wasn't as many
Yeah,
of the top teams there. It was your first event with Spinks, and it was only Brolan, who's the in-game leader. He shouldn't be the one who's your highest rated player, right?
yeah,
Everyone else was struggling. Yimfat's still having some struggles that I'm starting to have a little. I love Yimfat, but like little Yimmy's having some moments where he goes like 2-18 or whatever, and has these games where he's not up to the standard of the old GM fat that I used to see. And I don't know if that's a Spinks thing since he's come in. I don't know if it's just a confidence thing, but they're it's a problem they need to solve. And even though they got over this vitality hurdle, it's still now for me, Vitality is the best team, Spirit's second team. Spirit will not be the best team in the world for me unless they now get a couple of other trophies
no,
and
no,
take
no,
down
no, no.
Vitality. They need
This
to take on they need to take on the final boss. And the final
have
boss is still Vitality for
Yeah,
everyone.
they haven't won against Vitality yet. They can't be
No.
crowned.
But I think that brings us to the end of Cologne. Don gets another
Yes.
MVP. He's in a great position. The new MVP model was brilliant, by the way, bigger than the old ones. Special Cologne design, had the graffitis on there as well. The Olaf one was in there at the same time,
Mm.
which is beautiful on the side. The cathedral's on there, and then what happened? Okay, we've already been saying on the podcast for like every episode that Cologne is the next major, but finally, it's public information that Cologne 2026 is the next major. I'll just say, if anyone from ESL is watching, please don't do me dirty like you did for this 2025. Please hire me for the major. I've never worked a Cologne major. I would love to work Cologne as a major because I grew up watching that stuff. You know, I was watching that from back at home, and they are some of the most special. You've been through them. You've
Yeah,
seen
it
them.
is. It's definitely a special. I mean, all Cologne events are special to their own degree, but having Cologne and adding the major tag for it. I mean, I even talked to people who used to watch, Counter Strike back in the days and stopped watching. They always think Cologne and Katowice are a major, no matter what,
Yeah.
because they're so special of events. And people who don't watch like super regularly still think it's a major, even if it's not. And
Yeah,
kind of is.
it's always that way.
It kind of
Yeah,
is.
it is. The crowd. I will say this: the crowd this year was good. Friday was a bit rough. Sunday was okay, but it wasn't as crazy as last Cologne.
Mm.
Like this didn't. I was watching. Remember from inside the arena, in the crowd, sat down on the arena floor at sometimes as well, and I even heard it from a lot of fans themselves. It wasn't as hyped, but it might have just been from what final we got and what some of the games we got. There was moments of like it was really hyped. The Vitality game was obviously crazy with the Golden Hornets going like mad as always. They're amazing, but it was a bit more quiet here
Yeah.
um, than what was normal. But I also think I would say from an outside perspective that it felt like because the next Cologne's the major, this one was like toned down a little bit in
Yeah.
order to make sure that ramp up into the next Cologne is like skyrocket high. ESL pull out all the bells and whistles and we go into like nuclear mode of how it's going to be amazing.
But it's also a little bit, when you've had a little bit of break, you don't really know. People are a little bit rusty in terms of CS. We don't have the
Yeah.
exact storylines of this next season to some degree as well. Um,
Yep.
so I think that also kind of matters a little bit.
Yeah, that comes into it. Now, the podcast has already been going on a long time. There's a
Yeah.
lot of roster moves we could touch on. I don't want to touch on any of them for this episode because otherwise it is already 3 in the morning. We
Yep.
will never sleep. And I have to go and travel again tomorrow. um, there's lots of things that have already been touched on by other posts. We can come back to it on the next episode, maybe after Blast Bounty. So let's get into Blast Bounty and
Yes.
then do our Q&A and then we can be done with it all.
Then sleep.
Hopefully everyone's still enjoying the episode. Yeah, and get some sleep. So Blast Bounty is obviously very weird. It's such a it's become a more problematic event because only 8 teams go to the LAN finals. Everything else before that's online. It's all VRS global invites. Yeah, how it's done like that.
And there's no prize
There is
pool.
most of the top teams. Yeah, there's no prize pool yet. There'll be prize pool for the LAN bit, right? So
Yeah.
it's just aiming for a LAN spot. You potentially ruin some VRS points.
I mean,
Then
it is
for
essentially
500k.
it's essentially a qualifier.
Yeah, it's a qualifier for the LAN finals.
Yeah.
It's a risk for some of the teams if you're at the very top. And remember, it's single elimination. So one best of three loss and you're out.
Yeah.
You're done. You just need to make it through each part. It does have the really cool format. We touched on it last time, like where teams can fight each other for the money and stuff that's on the line. You can choose your opponent of who you're going to vote into. So, like,
Yeah.
one of the lower seeds gets to pick the higher seed or however that works, right? Whatever one thinks going to fit them in the best way possible. NRG, unluckily, the North American team got Vitality as their first one to fight up against. Let's go down. Just, I guess, the VRS thing is the problem because, say, a Vitality did lose to NRG, it's online, so it's less counting because it's not a LAN match, but it's still going to hurt Vitality. It's going to be a boost for NRG, but there's no money on the line. It's just these LAN spots. Like, kind of anything can happen here,
Yeah.
but it's kind of rough, right? It's not the most exciting in that sense, but the format at least makes it exciting. I won't be working that one. I wasn't invited to the Malta one. You can see the hosts are going to do the interviews as well. So then they're not usually on the stage for the land bit. So I'm just chilling once again.
Do you just
Big
wanna
sad.
predict, like, the games, who's gonna
Predict
win?
the first opening games.
Oh,
We'll
there's
predict,
a
yeah,
lot
predict the
of
opening games.
games.
Yeah, so let's just go straight from the top. Round of 32. First game's going to be, I'll just do it in the order that's on HLTV rather than the time order. But MIBR Virtus Pro. MIBR have not shown much still. With Nick's coming in, I don't have much faith. Brennan is still struggling as well, so this probably be VP.
Yeah, I'll probably go VP as well, actually.
Pain versus Ninjas.
I'll take NIP on this
Oof.
one. I think they've
Okay, I'll take
shown,
Pain.
you know, that ex I have a problem saying this name, ex
Ex
Kaspersky.
Kaspersky.
No, I think he's the real deal. I think he looked really, really,
Yep.
really good when I watched him. Pain, they were a bit of a disappointment. Hopefully, they can regain some form. But I have high hopes for NIP. Coming into this half of the season.
I agree on the NIP thing. I just think that Pain um, will come in with the fire they need to for this thing. They made the LAN finals last time as well. They do perform good online. Then we got Heroic taking on Complexity. Um, I'm going to go
Heroic?
for Heroic, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm going to go for Heroic for that.
I'll
Fnatic
agree.
versus Legacy. This gets hard because
Oh,
I
legacy.
can't underestimate Legacy again. Yeah, and I love my boy Fear. We got Jambo there. Cypher's just come into Fnatic, but they were even struggling to qualify for the Blast Open London. I think they lost to
And they got a
Ecstatic in the
new
end, who did
player in
qualify.
Cypher replacing
Yeah,
Mattis.
so let's give that to Legacy. Ecstatic Liquid, bro. I'm taking Ecstatic for real.
Oh, I actually
I'm
want to
taking
take
Ecstatic.
Ecstatic as well. I'm gonna follow you.
All right. Then we've got Foot now. I don't know what that means.
Is
Fut.
Navi
Fut versus Bait. It's the ex
Academy?
Navi Junior, yeah.
Oh yeah, Junior.
So they got Masuta. I just don't know how to say the team name. They got Masuta now as the replacement for Makazi. I don't think have they played any games with Masuta? Let's see. They lost the VP Prodigy with Masuta. Yeah. Krebeni's still doing pretty good. Still the one. He was the follow up to Makazi, the other Kosovo boy in there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like Bait should win that one personally.
I think yeah, this is a game Bates should win. I think they are not to be underestimated, like Foot.
Hmm.
Obviously, losing Makase could be a big one. Suta not a bad replacement, but I haven't seen him play in ages.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
really, really hard to say where he is.
so
But
then we got
online, I feel like this is Bates' kind of home ground. Not that they're bad on
yeah.
land, but this is where they're comfortable. They're comfortable, playing these kind of teams. They've been very consistent against these types of teams. So Bait
Then we got G2 Namiga. I'm gonna go G2. I do
G2.
like what Namiga's got, but losing his way is a big loss for them. TNL, Ukrainian team, going up against Navi. There's something in this, especially with Navi playing online. I spoke to Makazi about this. He's going to have like 40 to 50 ping probably, but he's used to it. He is used to playing these online games. It should be Navi, but I mean, I think
Are you
TNL
nervous
will
about
give
this
them a bit
game?
of a
I'm
run
I'm
on
picking
something.
Navi all the way, man.
I'm glad you're saying that. I'm really happy with you saying that, but I just mean, I feel like this is a game where TNL will take a map from them or something.
Navi has
Don't
converted
underestimate
me after
TNL.
this tournament. You have to keep your
That's
faith
good. I'm glad you're on my
as a
side.
biased Navi supporter, as all the YouTube comments
I'm
are saying.
biased. I am so biased. FlyQuest Aurora. Remember, Aurora's got Zantara's back. I'm
Oh,
picking Aurora.
they
Yeah, he's
do?
back.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Aurora.
confirmed. Rare Atom Australis. Oof. Oof.
I mean,
What do you
I'm
think?
taking Astralis. I think. Do they
Yeah.
have a new player, Rare Atom?
Rare
Is it
Atom have a new.
Tiger?
Yeah, Tiger. Tiger, Tiger. Yeah.
Do you know anything about
I
him?
love Child. No, zero.
Okay.
I know they replaced somebody with Tiger. That was the headline. That was it. Somebody went and Tiger's in.
Wasn't it at
Um,
one point like that they replaced somebody with Trash or something like this?
Oh, was it that? Well, maybe I'm wrong then. Or maybe I'm wrong on which team.
Do you remember this headline, or am I
Yeah.
talking out of my
Yeah.
ass here?
No, you're correct. Let me see. So, oh yeah, Trash is substitute. Okay. So Wait, somebody transfers to rare atom bench, yeah, and then Trash is moved to substitute, and Tiger joins rare atom.
Oh, okay.
I just love Child King, by the way. I'm always going to be a Child King fan. He is the king of children, to be clear. Um, because he was the best child in his land center. That was where the name came from. It's just an
Oh,
epic name. He was a cool guy to talk to in an interview and learn some more about. But I do think Astratus will win. I'm not holding out much hope for Rare Atom in this one. Ents versus Mongols.
new
It's
recruit
an SDY
Regon.
led Ents. Rigon's on the team now as well. We do like that. But this is the Mongols, baby. They're not losing that.
I hope they make it close and Regan pops off. I
Yeah, he's got his chance again.
yeah, I love watching Regan play, but Mongols they have this. I think they're
Yeah.
getting more and more
Um,
stable, and I don't know. They are looking. I
big,
mean, they're ranked number 3 in the world right now. It's crazy.
yeah, rightly so.
Yeah,
Big versus Furia. Got to
Furia
take Fury of that. Yeah. Passion UA. Obviously,
Spirit,
Warrow's there. Grem, Demka, Jacasmo, Topper as well. It is going to be a spirit win, most likely, but
but
there
it
could
is
be some way
yeah.
that
But
Passion could do something crazy here.
the domestic games are always a little bit
Yeah.
tough.
And Passion will have some extra passion for that one. Dun,
Yes,
dun. Um, Bet Boom Phase. Phase. They don't
face.
even have Axile anymore on Bet Boom, even though he was doing bad. Like they kept Siren. They haven't got Axile anymore.
But it's
I
gonna be
Magnus,
interesting to
yes, at
see
times
Bet
can do
Bet
well.
Boom, but face is
Phase
on the
do
up.
historically do bad online.
Yeah,
Let's just be clear on that. But let's see what happens. NRG Vitality. Vitality.
Vitality, Mouse OG.
Um. Okay, they've got the Adam B move in, but I don't think that's going to be. I think Mouse should be solid for that.
Yeah, Mouse.
Now, which 8 teams do you think are going to go to the LAN finals?
LAN finals. I have Vitality, Mouse. I'm just reading from the top dogs here.
Of
Vitality,
course, you are.
Mouse, Mongols, Spirit, Furia, Navi. I'll say. Hmm.
I'm not yawning at you, by the way. I'm just yawning because it's 3:30 in the morning. I've been awake for too long.
I don't know. I'll say Aurora G2. I'll skip face this time.
Okay. So for me, 8 teams that make it to LAN finals: Vitality, Spirit, Mouse, Mongols, Navi, Furia. Oof, this is where it gets harder.
Yeah, yeah. You're gonna have to skip one or two.
Oof. Do I believe in Face to do it when it comes from online? I think Aurora will do it. And then I'll say Pain. Pain
Okay.
over Phase. It'll be Pain or Astralis. So, yeah, something like that. But I'll go with Pain. Gonna believe in them to do the dirty as always online.
All
Who do you think is
right.
winning it? Who do you think is going to go forward and win?
Ooh.
Does
Like the
Vitality bounce
LAN
back?
finals?
Yeah, the whole thing. Win the whole thing.
I mean, I'll take a safety, just Vitality. I think
You
that
just go Vitality?
a wake up call, just come here and
Yeah.
dominate.
I saw a picture just posted on Instagram story. Flamesy's in Estonia with Rops. There was a picture by his car. So maybe they're
It's
boot
car
camping
buff.
together for this because obviously, yeah, playing from Israel would not be good ping for him. It's
Yeah.
always terrible ping from Israel. So maybe he's just playing with Rops in Estonia, and Rops has God PCs as well. He knows all the tech. But I do think for me, finals will be Spirit, Vitality, and Vitality come through and get the win, and they go back to winning ways.
Yeah.
It's a very easy pick in there. I'd love to see Navi have a continuous improvement and go to finals. Even win it would be beautiful. I think Navi will make semis at least.
Yeah.
At
I
least
think
with
I think they
this.
have a good chance of making it far. But it's all
Definitely.
dependent on who you face in the bracket. I mean, you face a Fury
Yeah.
early or Spirit or Mouse early, or like everything can happen in that sort of way. But guessing with what we
Yeah.
have,
All right. let's go into Q&A, and then we are done for episode 21 of the All About Counter-Strike podcast. Skorga, as always, is our first question. He is
Yeah.
not just long-time viewer. He's been here since the beginning. He's got a question in, I think, every single episode.
Need
He says,
some.
which team do you think has made the best moves during this roster mania? For me, it has to be Heroic. They brought in a reliable coach, though replacing Saw will be difficult, if not impossible. And the granddad of the team, Tanir, is only 24 years old. I really think this team has great potential, or at least it'll be very profitable. Every team Heroic has is profitable, by the way, because they are the money-making team. I did a whole article on this. Like, the insane money they've made from transfers is like they're just the most winning org at the moment in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think they have made some really good decisions, but I also think I feel like teams that are on the up
Hmm.
is I think Navi, considering they haven't paid a dime for Makase, he's
Yeah,
looking to fit
yeah.
in really well. I think he could be like I looking at Navi like a couple of months ago was almost like
Hmm.
sad, or it was fun because you were always a little bit mad or
Oh,
sad.
thanks, mate. Yeah, cheers
Uh,
for that.
so I had a little bit of enjoyment because of that.
Should we
But
talk? Should
now
we
I
talk
have
about Tottenham and what you lost today? Should we go into that? Should we make you sad?
no. I cried today because Son retired from Tottenham.
You
That's why I'm wearing this
pussy,
jersey, by the way.
fucking pussy.
Son jersey. Uh, and no, but I think in terms of that, it didn't cost them anything. It's looking like a pure improvement, and
Yep.
I get excited watching Navi again, um,
Hmm.
which is something I kind of lost a little bit. They're looking like they can challenge for titles, at least now early on. Hopefully that continues, and Makase gets more comfortable in his roles, and then just continue
Yep.
to develop the playbook because it looks very similar to what they did. So they probably just caught him on to what they had in the past.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that. I think that's a win. Otherwise, G2 for me is a big one.
Hmm.
Um, I think what they've done from such a terrible position has to be acknowledged, and I think they are also someone that we're going to talk about a little bit, and they're going to be uh you know be able to upset some of these like teams that are really chasing a title and make some deep runs in a little
Especially
while.
with how Saw and Hunter can work together as well.
Yeah, so
All right, that's
I'd say
good.
those two.
Obviously, you've already taken my Navi one, so that's my obviously instant pick on that because it's
Yeah.
just a big win. Some people would probably say Zwei, but I'm not going to go for that just because Spirit got a win. Like it's not some massive move. I think in some way, I know we've harped on about Falcons, but Kioski's still such a win move for Falcons because even if they had to pay loads of money for him, Spirit didn't even get him because he wanted to go to Falcons to play with Nico and Manasi, and have this opportunity in front of him. Um, and obviously, probably the salary is incredibly good and the lifestyle's gonna be very
But the
good. But
only
it's like,
problem with it is they were the second best team in the world
yeah,
when they
yeah, yeah.
made
But
that
I say give
change.
it.
Yeah.
We already said this. I'll give it 3 months for it to go back up and then work it all out, right? But I feel like that's still going to be the best roster move of this roster mania because a lot of it was disappointing. But I will say, because obviously you took my Navi one, that I'll go for Kiosuke and then also ex Kaspersky
Ah,
to
yes.
NIP. Yeah, we
That's a
can't
great
forget
one.
about that
Yeah,
because
that's a
it's
great one.
just a good bit of backup for the team of what they needed. The rifle fire output alongside what Wrinkle has to offer is really nice in there.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And then we have, oh, you can read this one out because God knows how you're saying that.
Okay, I need to do this. Okay, so Fattengeist
I
comes
would have
in.
said Perfortengeist. I would have said
Oh,
Perfortengeist.
it's
Perfortengeist. Yeah.
Fottengeist.
I don't know. I get it's not
Fottengeist.
fat.
I thought it was an A. I'm getting sleepy. Either way, Fottengeist says, which map of the past operation was your favorite that never came back and no one talks about? As an example,
Oh my
mine is
God.
Thrill. I have to be honest with you. I have no clue what map that is. I
Wait,
have
Devilwalk's not
absolutely
an
zero
operation
clue.
player?
And there are some maps that I've really enjoyed, but they have never been like a 5v5 map that I've played. Probably never played any of the operation maps that are 5v5. The only maps that I've ever played on the operations are the 2v2 wingman maps. And I
Oh,
don't
you love
remember
that,
the
yeah.
names, but I remember one map I really enjoyed where you were kind of on like a river side kind of thing, and you could like walk up to the right as you spawned as T. And
Mhm.
there was like a little window in the middle where CTs could peek down to where the Ts were spawned. And that map I really liked. Me and Michael Ele used to play it all the time. We even did tactics on it just to tilt people. Um, but yeah, that one. Don't know the name of it. I don't know. Remember, there was a little window and like a stone wall. You would look down to
Oh,
the place.
I found the one I liked, but it was a terrible map if you wanted to play it 5v5 competitive.
Yeah,
Santorini.
Santorini. Yeah,
Santorini was
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Santorini was nice. It was just fun to play. Like, it was just interesting, but wasn't going to make it as a comp map.
Yeah.
It says here, actually, trivia. It appears in Counter-Strike Online. However, the two maps are completely unrelated, featuring completely different layouts. Oh, there you
Oh,
go. Some trivia. But yeah, I just remember I even streamed a few games of just playing that with viewers and stuff. So Santorini was one that just sticks out in my mind. By the way, if the names keep getting funnier, I'm just going to keep reading them as well. As long as they're not like racist or angry or like abusive, I'm going to keep reading these crazy names out. Where does your nickname come from, dude? Write us in Discord about where your nickname comes from and how you came up with this name. It's always good to know. It's always good fun. But that does bring us then to the end of episode 21 of the All About Counter Strike podcast. It is very late. It is 3:39 in the morning. We've been rocking and rolling. We had 2 devil walkthroughs for you. We covered all of Clone in so much detail. We've done a bit on Blast Bounty. There was still more to cover, but sleep is a must. Sleep is needed. We wanted to make sure we got this episode out nice and early for you guys to enjoy it as well, straight off the back of the hype from Cologne. So hopefully you've enjoyed it. And also Devil Walk, I met more people who kept coming up to me and saying like, I'm watching the podcast all the time, love what you
ooh,
guys are doing. So it's actually now becoming a regular thing, which at least it warms my heart. It makes me feel like that's fucking cool, man. The people now, it's not just about being a host or being an interviewer. It's like people are watching the podcast and coming back for it, maybe listening to it as well. It's dope. That's so good to hear. So thank you so much to all you that's actually mentioned the podcast to me, because you saw it when you mentioned it to me, how happy I was. And it's just
makes me
we enjoy
happy.
doing
Can't
this.
smile right now. I'm too tired. Uh,
Dead inside, actually.
a little bit, little bit. But we did go through it, and thank you so much for the support. Love to hearing that as well. Yeah, I am exhausted.
Well, with that, we will go to bed and get some sleep. You guys get to enjoy the podcast. Maybe you'll listen to this while sleeping, like some of our viewers do, who says so in the comments every single time that he goes to sleep to the podcast. I never know if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
I think it's a good
Like,
thing.
we bore him so
We have
much that he
we have
goes to
comfortable
he's
voices
like,
to listen
I
to.
need, I need to sleep. Let's listen to Banks and Devil Walk again.
My
Don't listen to
stepbrother
the Apex
actually
episode.
does
Does he?
with this podcast. Yeah,
Oh God, he just wants to hear your voice, not mine. That's
yeah.
for sure. But plenty more Counter Strike. The second part of the season has only just begun. It's going to be a fun, wild ride of the season for sure. I'm excited to see what can happen now that Vitality need to have a little bit of a bounce back. There's some more roster moves and stuff we'll discuss on episode 22. We'll probably be back when Blast Bounty ends. And what's after Blast Bounty? Let me have a quick look. So I think from Blast Bounty, we go to the Esports World Cup. So yeah, we'll be doing the episode for that as well. So everything's going to be hitting you back to back, straight through, all around the world. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, follow, whatever else you're doing. And we'll see you on episode 22. Thank you.